Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 annual Score on Air NFL Draft Party. We have I like to hear that from the peanut gallery back there. Yeah, we have a great show for you tonight. Coming with you, as you can tell, this is one of NFL's biggest nights, and we'll be talking about everything that's led up to the NFL draft here. A lot of off-season activity. We'll be discussing that. We'll be discussing where some of these Ohio State players might land, and we'll also be talking about the most important position in football, the quarterbacks. And with that, I'm going to be joined by Frank Ellington, Josh Stoll, and I'm Jeff Chernauskas. And so with that, let's get our show started. So our first topic of discussion, gentlemen, is there was a lot of quarterbacks moved, veteran quarterbacks moved in the offseason. I've detailed a handful of them. Tom Brady unretiring and coming back to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Deshaun Watson being traded from the Texans to the Browns. Denver Broncos traded for Russell Wilson. The Colts traded for Matt Ryan. Carson Wentz was traded to the Commanders. Atlanta signed Marcus Mariota to replace Matt Ryan. And the Steelers signed Mitchell Trubisky to replace Ben Roethlisberger. A lot of movement there in one offseason. So of all those, which one you think has the biggest impact?
I think the biggest impact would have to be, and it was very surprising, when the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson. Now, they gave up a lot. They gave up the 3 first-rounders in the next 3 years, so this year, next year, and then 2024, and a couple third-rounders and fourth-rounders. But they get a franchise guy to help out, but he does have 22 lawsuits, so we'll see if he plays this year. But I'm very, very excited to see what Deshaun Watson's and the Browns are going to do.
I can go as far as to say I like the addition with the Browns with Deshaun Watson, but I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to have to go with the Denver Broncos with them getting Russell Wilson. The reason being is Russell Wilson, he needed a fresh start. Times were getting rough for him for the Seahawks, and I think it was time for a change. And I feel like Russell Wilson can make a lot of noise with the Broncos since Peyton Manning. They can be a big, strong factor, and we'll see what the Broncos could do and have in store for them. So,
I have to agree with you there, Frank. I think the Russell Wilson trade will be the most impactful for this reason. Denver had a top 10 defense last year, but they were lackadaisical offensively, and Russell Wilson gives them that special quarterback to actually go up and down the field and score some points when the defense gives them the ball with one possession left in the game. That being said, too, Deshaun Watson moving, not only did the Browns give up the farm for him, but they reset the quarterback market with the contract extension they gave. And they gave him $230 million on a 5-year extension, but it's fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
And with that, the quarterbacks being drafted from here on out are going to become that much more important because as veteran quarterbacks get signed, right, they're going to demand a fully guaranteed contract and large dollars that are going to hit your salary cap. So how do you see that signing affecting the draft tonight?
It's going to be very impactful. I mean, of course, there's going to be some teams that are going to be in need of a quarterback, like the Panthers, the Lions, the Saints, the Steelers, to name a few. Those teams are looking for quarterbacks, but it's not a very good quarterback class this year, as in years prior. So, you need a quarterback, but you need to really make sure you're getting your position and the best player available.
As far as the whole Deshaun Watson, I think it's a huge risk. In football, you have to take risks, and in life, you have to take risks. But as far as I feel like it's a good contract for him. That means like he can just level up and show that he can still play in this game. like you was going off with the quarterbacks. I mean, there's not a lot of quarterbacks. We may not know some. We have like one quarterback might be going to the first round. But you never know what this draft might come, you know.
Or 4.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
see.
very
We'll see
unpredictable.
what happens.
So we're just gonna see what happens, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah, so you know, I'm interested to see what the Steelers do as a fan.
Big fan, right?
I mean, they signed Mitchell Trubisky for a relatively team-friendly 2-year contract. But everyone keeps pushing that they're going to draft a quarterback this, in addition to having signed Mitchell Trubisky. So they have that with Mason Rudolph, and unfortunately, you know, they're going to need to replace Dwayne Haskins, the late Dwayne Haskins.
Yep.
But I'm interested to see where they go. What do you think on where the Steelers might go with that?
So the Steelers have is it the 20th pick, correct?
20th
Okay,
pick.
20th pick. So there's been some talk, at least today, that they could move up and draft a quarterback. But I think you probably need to stay there because a quarterback's going to be there. So you're not giving up anything. Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett. I like Kenny Pickett personally, just because I like experience in my quarterback, and he has a strong arm. And he also has more accuracy than Malik Willis from Liberty University. But Malik Willis is very much like a Lamar Jackson and can run the ball and can spread out the field. But I personally like Kenny Pickett.
yeah, I'm gonna agree with Josh here. I'm gonna go with Kenny Pickett. He could definitely compete with Mitchell Trubisky in a way that can, you know, help the Steelers blend in a good offense. I know they're with the big loss of Ben Roethlisberger and the late great Dwayne Haskins. So the Steelers are definitely looking to get a quarterback.
So the other interesting news is 44-year-old Tom Brady went back to Tampa Bay. I think it's kind of intriguing that he retired via Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And with that, he was retired for like 3 weeks, and then he decides to come back. But that makes Tampa Bay out of the quarterback running. So we'll see. He led the league last year in passing yards.
He was only a play away from making to the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. So
Yeah, he just, Tom Brady just can't just let it go. He's that football mentality. That's just Tom Brady.
but he's 44 years old, so.
That's true.
With that, we're going to lead right into our next segment, and talking about these veteran quarterbacks. So we kind of touched on it just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
But the college quarterbacks that are in this draft here, our own Fred Wheeler, he believes there's only one first-round draft pick worthy, and that's Malik Willis out of Liberty. Though we've identified about four or five quarterbacks that might go out in the first round here. We got Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh, obviously Malik Willis out of Liberty. We have Sam
Howell.
we have Matt Corral out of Ole Miss.
Yep.
And we have Sam
Howell.
out of
And Desmond
North
Ridder.
Carolina, and Desmond Ritter out of the University of Cincinnati.
Yep.
So we talked about the fact that the Steelers. You think the Steelers might go with Malik Willis, but that means he's dropping to 20.
Yeah.
Quarterback needs, Texans, they got Kyle Allen. Anyone know who he is? Sam Darnold out of the Panthers, Trubisky, Seahawks. Since they traded away Russell Wilson, you got to think that they're going to be looking for a quarterback. The Falcons, is Mariota their answer there? Maybe even the Saints, they did re-sign Jameis Winston. So where do you see these quarterbacks going?
So I could see as high as a lot of people are seeing mock drafts that I've seen, the Carolina Panthers taking a quarterback, whether that's Pickett or our other guy, Malik
Malik
Willis.
Willis.
Sorry, I forget his name. But anyway, yeah, Malik Willis. So that's who I see. Also, the Seahawks at 9, they could take a quarterback as well because losing Russell Wilson. And then their backup, who they traded for, was Drew Lock. So I I am not so sure. I mean, there's been a lot of unknowns. A lot of people don't know what's going to happen. But a lot of mock drafts that I'm seeing, 6th pick.
Well, who's a dark horse pick for a quarterback there, Frank?
I think personally, my dark horse will probably be Sam Howell, and I'm not saying that just to be biased, because I'm a North Carolina fan, but I feel that he could be the sleeper in this draft as far as the quarterback. I felt like he did well in the draft combine.
Yeah.
He can help out a team in needs of quarterbacks, such as like the Seahawks and.
Well, and also watch for Desmond Ridder. He is a leader on and off the field. He did really good on those pre-draft interviews. And he led the Cincinnati Bearcats to the college football playoff this year. So you can't go wrong with a winner, So
You can't go wrong with a winner. I mean, I like to bring up a team we didn't bring up as a potential team looking for a quarterback. I know my instructor will like this, but there's been a little chatter out there that the Detroit Lions might be picking a quarterback.
they could even pick him
They
at
got
number
2
2.
picks they got 2 picks in the first round. They're
Yeah.
one of 8 teams that have two first-round picks, which is a record for any NFL draft. But do you think Detroit could go with the quarterback in the 2nd pick?
So I don't see them picking at number 2 for a quarterback. You might as well just pick him a quarterback at number 32 at that point, or tomorrow at 34. But there is a possibility they could. Then Jared Goff, he's a good quarterback, but you need to give him a little competition, I think.
I mean, I don't see them picking a number 2 pick. Number 2 pick because they got the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
But I don't see them getting a quarterback. I can maybe see because they need more defense more than the offense. Because defense win games. Offense sells tickets. Defense win championships. So for them, I don't think they don't need to pick up a quarterback right away. They could probably wait till like the later on in the rounds. But yeah, I think the quarterback they can wait a little bit longer.
Well, no one's talked about Matt Corral.
Well,
I mean, he is coming off an ankle injury in his bowl game.
yeah, he's a little undersized too. And again, I think the top 2 are Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett. So those are the guys that I'm seeing.
The other interesting thing with picking if you love one of these quarterbacks in the draft, you should pick them in the first round because the first round has the unique aspect of a 5th-year option.
Yes.
So we talked about in the first segment where contracts and huge money and the quarterback market's been reset. If you could get that 5th-year option on a quarterback, he's on his rookie contract for 5 years. So you have the ability to build a team around that quarterback should he pan out. And your scouting ends up knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
So any last thoughts on any of these quarterbacks? Who do you think is going to be the first one off the board?
I mean, I've said it before, and I believe it. It's going to be Kenny Pickett. Now, where he falls, 6 to Carolina. That's my prediction.
I would say Kenny Pickett, and I would love to see him on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hometown boy.
That would be a
Yeah.
good pickup for him. So
you think Kenny Pickett to the Steelers,
yeah.
and you have Kenny Pickett to the Panthers.
To the Panthers. We'll see what
Everybody's
happens.
Kenny Pickett fans here. Who knew? All right. So as we discussed enough about the quarterbacks, there was a lot of non-quarterback movement in free agency here, and some of these movements were significant. Von Miller, he went from Denver last year in the middle of the season to the Rams, won a Super Bowl, and now he's moved on to the number 1 ranked Buffalo Bills defense. So they just got better. You got Devontae Adams. Sorry, Adam. He went over to the Raiders from the Packers, and for about a week he had the largest contract for a wide receiver. And then this is probably the most significant one that I think moved was Tyreek Hill. I think it shocked anybody, especially Kansas City Chief fans. But through a trade, he went to the Dolphins for a first rounder, a second rounder in the 2023 draft, and then he he signs a 4-year, $120 million extension, largest wide receiver contract ever with $72 million guaranteed. So those are some of the highlights here. I mean, we got a lot of movements here to talk about. But what's the most impactful movement that you think to make one of these teams a contender?
I think Devon Miller, with him being the veteran, the move going to the Buffalo Bills that helped out a lot for them. That makes their defense more stronger. I would love to say Devontae Adams going to the Raiders. The Raiders always have struggled with wide receivers, and they got a good one in Devontae Adams. So I feel like that's a good pickup.
I really like Khalil Mack going to the Chargers to help out that defense. I think
That was a trade, right? So that was a trade.
that was a trade. Okay.
They got him. I think they got him for a steal.
Yeah, they
The
got
Bears got a second-round pick in 2022.
Yeah.
And a 2023 sixth-round pick. So they got rid of a second and a sixth-round pick, and the Chargers got Khalil Mack.
I think the Chargers, they're trying to go all in for a Super Bowl. So getting him and shoring up that defense really helped them a lot.
Well, I know the Chargers defensively, they were 30th in points allowed. So Khalil
Sheesh.
Mack is going to help them
It's
out.
going to help them a lot.
Because on the flip side, the Chargers were 4th in total offense.
Yeah.
So they could score points and they could give them up. And if you watched that Chargers-Browns game last year,
That was a scoring fest.
Chargers won, and I think no team punted.
Bad
so I think
defense.
that was a record. So
Yeah.
if you liked offense, that was a fun game to watch. I actually like, being once again, I'm going to highlight the Steelers here. They were terrible offensive line last year. Couldn't run, couldn't pass. Let's see, we had a pretty old quarterback. But I like the James Daniels guard signing. He was free agent, came over from the Bears, 3 years, $26.5 million deal. He has the flexibility to play not only guard, but he could play center. So I like that move. Allen Robinson to the Rams from the Bears. It seems like the Bears are unloading everything. And he went there for a small amount of money.
Yeah.
So those are some of the movements there that are going on in this off season.
Yeah.
Any other things that jump out at you as it pertains to the movements?
Me and being a Cowboys fan, I know we lost Leo Collins to the Bengals. That was a huge blow for us. He got a $30 million.
That's a good signing for the
Yeah.
Bengals. They need to shore up that offensive line.
Yeah, he only had 12 sacks. Well, 2 sacks for the 12 games that they played.
Yep.
But with them, he'll be a big help for them. So
Yeah, well, if you're a Bengals fan, you have a Ferrari in the back there, and then he's being protected by minimum insurance.
No,
And so that's even though they had they made a Super Bowl run. Joe Burrow got sacked. I think it was the highest quarterback sack
Yeah, a lot in the Super
last
Bowl.
year.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they shore up that offensive line,
Yeah.
the Bengals can only look up.
Yeah,
from
only
there.
look up. And I think another under appreciated move is Jamison Crowder. Sorry, to the Bills from the Jets. I think that's going to help Josh Allen. Any good receiver is going to help out Josh Allen.
Yeah. So as we've talked about, as we wrap up our first couple segments here, and before we go to break, as we mentioned, the NFL lost a great guy in Dwayne Haskins. He was certainly well beloved here in the Columbus, Ohio area and Ohio State. And here's a tribute.
The following is a broadcast produced and starring students from the Ohio Media School's Columbus campus and their sports program, Score on Air.
Can you see yourself working on TV, radio, or social media? As media professionals, we make our voice heard. Call the Ohio Media School and be a part of something bigger than you and me. You'll train and get the skills you need to work in TV, radio, social media, film, and much more.
I graduated and now am working as a director of marketing at a local radio station. My future is set.
Call the Ohio Media School now and be a part of something bigger. 614-723-9675. 614-723-9675.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score on Air network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus.
I met Mr. Porter from the Porter Foundation in our community dealings, just meeting people, good people in the community. He was telling me about a program that they were thinking about starting up, just getting kids involved, getting them off of the street, and just he knew there was a lot of kids in that Fifth Avenue area over at Crum Park. I was a brand new recruiting sergeant, and I was looking for different programs to be involved in, helping kids, especially in like after-school capacity or coaching, mentoring space. So I got hooked up with Mr. Porter, and I became a coach. I loved the kids that I had. It was actually my majority of my team was made up of one family, and they ended up being like really good listeners and team players. Some people struggled, but it was just really good opportunity to spend time with the youth over there in that community. And then actually, I didn't let them know I was a police officer right away, but over the time, I ended up telling them, and a lot of people were shocked. But they all, I had already been there. I was told by one of the rec leaders that, hey, if you come back one time, they'll love you forever. Just seeing the progression of my kids, seeing them, share the ball with each other, learning different things, learning how to do a press, learning how to set a screen, making their shots. I love how they look back at me as the coach when they do something good, and I'm like, no, you did something good, keep doing it, and just building with them, just building that relationship. That's probably been the best thing for me. I'm from this community. I'm born and raised in Columbus, and this is a way for me to give back, and let people see a police officer, somebody who's actually, out here doing police things in a different light. You may see what you see on TV. It may be nationwide, different things going on, but at the same time, there are great police officers here in this city doing good works and building with the community. This is what we do. This is where we live. This is what we're good at. Service is number one for us in Columbus.
The following is a broadcast produced and starring students from the Ohio Media School's Columbus campus and their sports program, Score on Air.
Can you see yourself working on TV, radio, or social media? As media professionals, we make our voice heard. Call the Ohio Media School and be a part of something bigger than you and me. You'll train and get the skills you need to work in TV, radio, social media, film, and much more.
I graduated and now am working as a director of marketing at a local radio station. My future is set.
Call the Ohio Media School now and be a part of something bigger. 614-723-9675. 614-723-9675.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score on Air network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus.
I met Mr. Porter from the Porter Foundation and our community dealings, just meeting people, good people in the community. He was telling me about a program that they were thinking about starting up, just getting kids involved, getting them off of the street, and just he knew there was a lot of kids in that Fifth Avenue area over at Crum Park. I was a brand new recruiting sergeant, and I was looking for different programs to be involved in, helping kids, especially in like after-school capacity or coaching, mentoring space. So I got hooked up with Mr. Porter, and I became a coach. I loved the kids that I had. It was actually my majority of my team was made up of one family, and they ended up being like really good listeners and team players. Some people struggled, but it was just really good opportunity to spend time with the youth over there in that community. And then actually, I didn't let them know I was a police officer right away, but over the time, I ended up telling them, and a lot of people were shocked. But they all, I had already been there. I was told by one of the rec leaders that, hey, if you come back one time, they'll love you forever. Just seeing the progression of my kids, seeing them, share the ball with each other, learning different things, learning how to do a press, learning how to set a screen, making their shots. I love how they look back at me as the coach when they do something good, and I'm like, no, you did something good, keep doing it, and just building with them, just building that relationship. That's probably been the best thing for me. I'm from this community. I'm born and raised in Columbus, and this is a way for me to give back, and let people see a police officer, somebody who's actually, out here doing police things in a different light. You may see what you see on TV. It may be nationwide, different things going on, but at the same time, there are great police officers here in this city doing good works and building with the community. This is what we do. This is where we live. This is what we're good at. Service is number one for us in Columbus.
And welcome back to Score on Air's NFL Draft Day party. I'm getting some information here that the Packers are looking to move up to try and get a receiver. I mean, there's a lot of chatter for that. The Eagles have a lot of chatter, looking to move up or move down. Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle out of Georgia, it looks like that guy is getting a lot of chatter, so it looks like he might go early on. So there's a lot of chatter and rumors going on here in the as we set up for the draft to start here in about a half hour. But with that, we're going to move on to some potential draft day trades. If you've been paying attention, the Browns no longer have a need for the services of Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
So the question is, will he get moved tonight? If you've also been paying attention, you're a Niners fan, Deebo Samuel wants nothing to do with San Francisco. So is it possible that he moves? And just like I said, it looks as if there's a lot of teams looking to move up or down depending upon how the draft goes. And so the chatter is the Packers are looking to get a wide receiver, and they might move up for that. And the Eagles trading back is a real possibility, but they also might move up depending on how the draft goes. So, how's this? The Jets trading for Deebo Samuel.
Yep.
And San Francisco gets the wide receiver Elijah Moore. They get their 2022 first-round pick, their 10th overall, and their second-round pick for this season to get Deebo Samuel. Obviously, the Jets need a wide receiver, and instead of going through the draft, they could get a complete playmaker in Deebo Samuel.
That'd be good for the Jets. With drafting Zach Wilson last year at the number 2 pick, that would be a great pick for the Jets. And since the wide receiver room is so deep, you could take a wide receiver in the second round as well as Deebo Samuel and trading that first round pick to San Francisco.
I feel like those would be good trades, but I feel like the trade that I'm really looking at the most is the Steelers. I think they might have potential to actually move up.
Take a quarterback.
They might take they might take another quarterback, or they might just take Kenny Pickett at number 12. You never know.
Trading to the Vikings have 12th pick, and they'd be trading the 20th to the 12th pick. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So you think the Steelers will move up 8 spots?
I think so. Potentially.
You think so? I mean, that's, with the Steelers since they lost some, they don't have as much draft capital because they did trade a couple draft picks last year for Minka Fitzpatrick. As a Steeler fan, and I've been watching them closely, I like to see them stay put. I don't think they're going to reach for a quarterback.
You don't want them to reach for a quarterback.
Theoretically, I don't want them to pick a quarterback, right? I still think Mitchell Trubisky might pan out a little bit. But, what do I know? That's why I'm sitting here at the desk, and you know what? Those guys are making the big bucks of being the GMs out in Vegas. But you might be right there, Frank.
Yeah.
You have some Swami skills over there, don't you?
Well, I got a little something there.
Yeah, a little something. He definitely cleans up pretty good, yeah. Now we talked about, we're getting news here that Green Bay might be looking to move up. And how about this? Green Bay gets the number 7 overall. So they trade with the Giants. The Giants get the Packers' 22nd pick this year in the first round. They get their 59th pick in round 2 this year. And they get their second round pick in 2023 to move up and pick a receiver. I mean, what do you think about that kind of move?
I really like that, the potential of moving up for a receiver for the Packers or the Chiefs. I think there's a lot of good receivers in that draft, in this draft right now. So moving up for a receiver for Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes to add to that receiver room is great. I mean, you got Garrett Wilson, you got Chris Olave, both Ohio State players. You got Drake London from USC. Those are the top 3 guys that I see. And then you got Jamison Williams from Alabama. So he's moving up draft boards because we thought he wasn't going to play early on in the season. So this is going to be exciting to see which teams move up to grab a receiver, or I guess any pick really.
Yeah, well, I guess just based on everything that's I'm hearing,
Yeah.
there's a lot of teams looking to move up or down depending upon what their needs are and how the draft goes. So I fully expect that during our show that we will be announcing various trades. So we've been talking a lot about offense, quarterbacks, both in college and the veterans that are moved. We talked about some wide receiver movement as possible trades. There's a lot of good defensive players here in the draft, and if you followed a lot of the mock drafts, almost first 5 or 6 picks are defensive players. Starting with Aiden Hutchinson. What can you say about that guy?
He blew up Ohio State, that's for sure. It was not fun in November. I think it was like November 28th or 29th when they played Ohio State. But he's a beast, man. I personally think he should go number 1. Now we're seeing a lot of talk that Trayvon Walker might be drafted number 1 for the Jaguars. But he's going to be probably number 2, if not number 1, Aiden Hutchinson. So he's got all the skills. He's like 6'7", nearly 300 pounds, 250. He's a monster, man. He's a monster.
I'd definitely like to see Aiden Hutchinson go number 1.
Yeah.
I feel like the Jaguars need help on the defensive end. And there's nothing wrong with either of those picks between him and Walker. So, like Hutchinson is a once-in-a-lifetime player. I know he excelled well in Michigan, and he can definitely help out a team. I can definitely see him in Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
And could potentially, we never know, with the Jaguars defense, he can wrap up. They can definitely be a good playoff in contention.
He's the best defensive lineman since Chase Young went number 2 overall to the Washington Commanders now, which is really funny saying that an Ohio State player and then now a Michigan player is the best defensive player in the draft.
Yeah, who knew? I mean, I'm now getting word that the Cowboys might move up to pick slipping defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau out in Oregon. So that's interesting to think that he's slipping. Many people had him being a top 2-3 pick.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why he's slipping, I believe, is his work ethic isn't as great as some of these other players that are coming in. And a lot of teams are seeing this and they're interviewing and we're like, we're going to back off. So, but hey, the Cowboys, you're a Cowboys fan. What's your reaction to this?
You want him?
I'm looking towards more of a receiver. I know we lost Amari Cooper. So I think with the Cowboys, I feel like we need more of a receiver in that aspect. But I mean, I wouldn't mind really taking what's his name, lost some track of my mind.
Kayvon
I wouldn't
Thibodeau.
mind taking Kayvon Thibodeau. But like I said, I feel like we need more of a wide receiver because that's where our weaknesses are right now. We need, Dak, and Dak needs somebody to throw the ball to. So I think.
Well,
with that
that's
run-
interesting. So you would want to go, as the fan that you are for the Cowboys, you would want them to go offense. And they were the #1 offense in the league last year.
Yeah, but
More offense.
yeah, we just need more offense. I
They were
feel
middle
like
of the pack
I
defensively.
mean, you do have CeeDee Lamb, too.
yeah,
And then you did lose Amari Cooper. So you do need someone else.
yeah.
Josh, I think you're entering in the draft. We forgot, from a quarterback standpoint, we talked, we didn't preview Uncle Rico. Little joke there from a movie joke there.
Great
but,
movie, Napoleon Dynamite.
But Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame, the safety.
Yeah.
He's been slipping on draft boards, and he's arguably one of the best safeties to come out in the last 10 years. Where do you think he might go? I know where I'd love to see him on black and gold.
Yeah. Well, they were saying early on that he was going to be drafted top 5, but I think right now he's going to be anywhere between the 5th pick and possibly the 15th pick is where I've seen Kyle Hamilton, from Notre Dame. But he is a beast. He's a unicorn for the position. So.
Well, we haven't talked about any corners. You've got Ahmad Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. He's looking to be a top 10 pick. You got Trent McDuffie out of Washington. Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU.
Good guys.
Those guys in a passing league, corners are a premium now.
Yeah.
Who do you like? Who do you think's the best one out of that bunch?
I like Sauce Gardner. I think he might be a top 4 pick. I'm going to the Jets. I feel like the Jets could make it. They need size and the length, and Gardner has that. So with him, I think he'd be a big difference for the Jets.
That's assuming the Jets don't trade their 4th pick to get Deebo Samuel, right? Because if they do, you heard it first right here.
They get straight 10 too. They got the
Breaking
10th pick.
news, right?
Yeah.
You like Sauce Gardner, Frank, huh?
I like Sauce Gardner.
Could he cover you?
He possibly could.
You think he could?
I think he could.
You look like a guy you could combat catch.
I try a few in my day.
Another guy that we haven't talked about, Jordan Davis. We did mention him as a guy that's moving up and is getting a lot of chatter in the draft. He might be a top 2 or 3 pick.
Yeah, no, Jordan Davis is great, man. They're saying he's beefy, mountainous man that can hog up the defensive line. So he's going to get drafted in the top 15 as well.
All right, so that's kind of our segment there for. Before we move on to the. All right, so we're gonna take a break here, and when we come back, we'll be discussing Ohio State players that are in the draft. So you're listening to the NFL Draft Party on the Score on Air Network.
The following is a broadcast produced and starring students from the Ohio Media School's Columbus campus and their sports program, Score on Air.
Can you see yourself working on TV, radio, or social media? As media professionals, we make our voice heard. Call the Ohio Media School and be a part of something bigger than you and me. You'll train and get the skills you need to work in TV, radio, social media, film, and much more.
I graduated and now am working as a director of marketing at a local radio station. My future is set.
Call the Ohio Media School now and be a part of something bigger. 614-723-9675. 614-723-9675.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score On Air network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus.
Can you see yourself working on TV, radio, or social media? As media professionals, we make our voice heard. Call the Ohio Media School and be a part of something bigger than you and me. You'll train and get the skills you need to work in TV, radio, social media, film, and much more.
I graduated and now am working as a director of marketing at a local radio station. My future is set.
Call the Ohio Media School now and be a part of something bigger. 614-723-9675. 614-723-9675.
And welcome back to Score On Air's NFL Draft Day party. And our next segment here will feature the Ohio State players that are potentially going to get drafted. We're bringing in our guest, Jay Lucas, the host of In the Shoe, here on the Score On Air network, to give his feedback on where these players might go. And so with that, let's start this off, Jay. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are probably a shoo-in to go the first round. Where do you think they might land?
So Garrett Wilson and Olave, yes, they are the shoo-in first round picks for Ohio State this year. Garrett Wilson, I'm sorry. Looking to go to New York is what several mock drafts have had him at.
Jets or Giants?
Jets.
Okay.
Even having him dropping down to as far as Washington at 11.
Yeah.
Olave, Chris Olave, they have him going right around anywhere between Washington and New Orleans with some of the mock drafts that I've seen. Both are incredible receivers. I think Wilson has better top speed in the end of his routes, and Olave has better top speed coming off the line. But those are the two first-round picks for Ohio State, and add to it the 85 that we already have.
That's great.
Do you think they'll be instant starters wherever team they get?
Of course.
They go on? Yeah.
Because with the Jets, you need another receiver, to help open up Zach Wilson. Even if he does go down to Washington, you have Terry McLaurin there to complement him on the other side of the ball.
Another Buckeye.
Exactly, and a
Bucks.
lot of OH.
I
A lot of teams are actually paying more attention to Alabama, your Georgias, Ohio State players more because of the style of coaching and development that you get at some of these top tier, blue blood schools.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Notre Dame's, your Georgias, your Alabamas.
So I had a question for you. So do you think any of these second or third rounders or fourth rounders could potentially move up a little bit where they're projected, like Nicholas Petit-Fier, Jeremy Ruckert, Thayer Mumford, Haskell Garrett, any of those guys?
So I think the first player after Wilson and Olave would be Jeremy Ruckert.
Okay.
Because of him being the tight end, he's also been developed to block.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of teams out there in the NFL that use the tight ends. Unfortunately, Ohio State didn't use him more in college to show his hands with receiving, but he's able to block to open up either the pass block or the run block for a team that has a decent running back or a decent quarterback to get the ball out.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. So I mentioned before, as far as the Cowboys needing the right receiver, and with Ohio State could potentially getting Chris Olave. Dallas Cowboys getting Chris Olave. What do you think? Who would the Cowboys would pick up if they need a receiver if one of those guys falling in the draft?
So Chris Olave going to Dallas, it would seem like it's a good fit, but he's not going to drop that far down to Dallas unless they trade up. The next receiver that would be a good fit for Dallas would be Jahan Dotson. Penn State. Either him or even David Bell.
Okay.
Out of Purdue. And David Bell has shown, his speed and his skills as a receiver that I feel like those two would be the good fits for Dallas.
What do you think? I know Josh talked about Nicholas Petit-Frere. Where do you think he might fall?
Third round.
Third round? Think he'd be a good fit for the Ravens?
Yes.
Yeah.
As much as,
Good value pick there.
I don't like the Ravens, but he's a good fit for there, or even Thayer Mumford.
Okay.
Thayer
Gotcha.
Mumford is also a solid third round pick. The one that might move up the most is Master Teague. Master Teague, had a
He
decent.
might not even get drafted, though. I didn't see any in mock drafts with him.
So nobody has had him, but after the pro day,
Yeah.
with all 32 teams there at the Woody Hayes facility, him running his 40 time and showing that he
looked
could
jacked, dude.
So that's so Jay, we appreciate you coming on our show.
Thanks, Jay.
And previewing some of the Buckeye players and where they might go. And at this point in time, we're going to kick it to Ohio Media School's draft guru, Fred Wheeler, who's on site at the draft in Las Vegas. My apologies. Take it away, Fred.
How you doing, Fred?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great. How is it down there?
It's a little nuts, as you might expect. I've never gone to a Super Bowl, but I can't imagine it's any bigger than what I'm seeing right now.
Wow.
You're seeing fans from literally. I've met my first real live Jaguars fans today, so I didn't know they actually existed. It was not Urban Meyer.
Too soon.
It was not Urban Meyer, and it was not a certain blonde waitress.
From Dublin,
Fred, you're
Ohio.
looking good out there, man.
Thank you.
Well, where are you at? Is that a cocktail in front of you?
Is it what?
Is that a cocktail in front of you?
It is not a cocktail in front of me. Just water. Just
water.
water. You get kind of thirsty out here.
I can imagine.
I'm staying at the Park MGM. As you can see, there's T-Mobile Arena right behind me where the Golden Knights play. It's incredible out here.
Yeah.
I've kind of been taking straw polls from all the fan bases, and you definitely get the feeling that everyone's excited. It's kind of like Christmas Day. It gives you new hope. It doesn't matter how bad you were last year. It gives you hope.
Gotcha.
And as we know, and as we all know, hope is sometimes a dangerous thing.
No, without hope, what's your motivation? So
Exactly.
So Fred, we've previewed and looked at your mock drafts. Are you drinking the Kool-Aid that Aiden Hutchinson will not go first?
I don't know if it's drinking the Kool-Aid, because I think Aiden Hutchinson should go first. I think if it's not Aiden Hutchinson, it should be Ike Ekwonu. And I feel like Trayvon Walker is set to be a bust.
Okay, gotcha.
I feel like the Jaguars are drafting him based on potential rather than actual production in college. He was not somebody. Yeah, he's got all of the measurables in the world. He's got great arm length. He's fast. He's quick. He's everything that you want. But then when you look at his stats, you're like, oh, well, what happened? And I understand there's a lot that goes into rushing the passer. Sometimes you're being doubled, so somebody else gets the sack. But I just feel like this is them looking at possibility. And while his floor might be higher than, or I'm sorry, his ceiling might be higher than Aiden Hutchinson, I think that Aiden Hutchinson's floor is way above Trayvon Walker's.
Gotcha. Hey, Fred, we're gonna take a break from you right now, and we'll cut back to you later on in the show. But at this point in time, we're gonna go to the underground. So you're listening to.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, Fred. We'll talk to you soon. And you're listening to Score on Air's NFL Draft Party.
So I really appreciate y'all's feedback on that, man. So when we come back, we have more from Amir the Songstress right here in WDG Underground Columbus. This is the Office Party.
Looking forward to it. There's nothing left to do. Just do it. All my inhibitions, they go, they go, they go, they go. You don't have to leave it alone. You know I got candy shop open when you get home. Chocolate covered candy free. Pink cherries, yeah. We gon' be fine. We're moving up this time. We're moving on. We got each other. And we'll be just fine. We're coming.
The following is a broadcast produced and starring students from the Ohio Media School's Columbus campus and their sports program, Score on Air.
Can you see yourself working on TV, radio, or social media? As media professionals, we make our voice heard. Call the Ohio Media School and be a part of something bigger than you and me. You'll train and get the skills you need to work in TV, radio, social media, film, and much more.
I graduated and now am working as a director of marketing at a local radio station. My future is set.
Call the Ohio Media School now and be a part of something bigger. 614-723-9675. 614-723-9675.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score on Air network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus.
Trust yourself. Oh, baby. Here we go. Oh, baby. Trust yourself. The road is right, baby. Here we go.
WUDG, Underground Columbus. That was Amir the Songstress. This is your man, Party Yardy. You listen to the Office Party. And this is the special edition of the show. This is our draft night 2022. And I got my guys in here in the room. We got Eric DeBear and King Art to talk to me today. And of course, you guys are experts of Ohio State football. So I'm going to throw a few names out there for you guys just to talk about. So looking at the rankings, the number 7 ranked prospect, Garrett Wilson, number 1 ranked wide receiver. So he's projected to go around number 8 to Atlanta Falcons. So just a few tidbits about Mr. Garrett Wilson. I'm sorry with you, Eric DeBear.
Well, he's got great hands, runs a great route, and that's the one thing about receivers. When they go from, they learn a lot when they're at Ohio State or at college, period, to where routes are so important. Steve Largent, one of the guys from the Seahawks, one of the best things that he could do to become the number 1 receiver was his routes. And quarterbacks love a receiver that runs a great route.
King Art.
For me, Garrett Wilson just has all the attributes that's going to transcend to the next level. He has the speed, his jumping ability, his high point catching. He just has everything that you need in the number 1 receiver. I actually believe that he's going to be the first person taken from a skill position. He's that good. And then when you got a guy who's been coached by Brian Hartline, who's, I say 10 years from now, he's going to be one of the greatest wide receiver coaches of all time. So, and just to throw that out there, he's the best in the country right now. But he's been under his tutelage for the last 3 years, and we know what kind of receivers he puts out there at the next level. And Garrett Wilson just has it all, man. He's a guy that can take a 10-yard pass and take it all the way to the house, or he's a guy that can beat you deep. One thing we'd like to see out of him is to get his route running a little more refined. But he's going to get that at the next level, man. Garrett Wilson, I can almost guarantee you will be the first skill position player taken off the board.
All right, man. Appreciate that feedback. We have a new gentleman just came in to the underground. Go ahead and introduce yourself for us one time.
James, co-host of In the Shoe here on Scoring Air Network.
All right.
My partner, King Art.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, and Jay Money, and the question I presented to the fellas, we're just talking about Garrett Wilson and how he's going to be projected once he gets into the NFL. Like King Art just said, that he's projected to possibly be the number 1 skill player to be drafted. And just what are some of your feedback in regards to maybe his senior year or what he's been doing to prepare for the draft?
So watching him over like the last couple of years, he sat behind McLaren and Harris Campbell, KJ Hill.
Yeah.
And they taught him and Chris Olave a lot. Best thing that I like out of Garrett Wilson is his top speed off that line.
Yeah.
His top speed is some of the fastest time in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So for him taking that transition into the next level, he's able to beat some of these corners.
Mm-hmm.
As far as being the first skilled, I do agree.
Okay.
Being the first skill going off, he reminds me honestly of T.O. T.O. was in his prime. He had that quick off the line, juke at the line, and you weren't catching him down that sideline.
T.O. is also physical too. Does Garrett Wilson have that same capabilities?
Garrett Wilson does, and he can take a hit.
Okay.
We saw that even in the spring game in 2020.
His very first catch was a circus grab in the end zone. So he's always been nice like that, and I agree with that. He has that quick twitch, and that's one of those things that you just can't teach. He doesn't have the body type of T.O., but his athleticism and his quick twitch, I can definitely see the comparison there.
All right, that's what's up, man. I want to talk about his wide receiver teammate as well. I did some research as well. So I went online and I went to CBS Sports. I see he's a number 29 ranked prospect overall, a number 5 ranked wide receiver, Chris Olave. Looks like according to Mel Kiper's mock draft, he's projected to go to the New Orleans Saints at number 19. So, of course, you got a running mate there of Ohio State, Mike Thomas as well. So same question I said about Garrett Wilson with Chris Olave. I'll start with you again, Eric, in regards to his senior year and where you see him in the NFL.
I see him doing very well, but he's not over 6'2". That will be his back off, that he will not be able to go across the middle. Yeah. He can do the out route, but, he's going to have to get that pattern together to where he is doing the slots, the down and outs, the up and goes. Mm-hmm. Otherwise,
He's not going to be somebody that's in the middle, but he is a great receiver. He's got great hands. But then again, today, with the gloves these guys are wearing, anybody can catch the ball.
All right, going to turn this to Undisputed real quick. So I still got Skip over here. We got Shannon Sharp over here.
I'm licking my chops.
Go ahead, bro. Go
Well,
ahead, Art.
First of all, Chris Olave is bigger than Garrett Wilson. That's the first thing I'm going to point out. Number two, he's the most polished receiver in the draft. I mean, he's the best route runner. No one has caught deep balls better than Chris Olave in college football since 2019. He has the most touchdowns. He averages 19 yards per grab. And I don't agree with him not being able to go over the middle. He's over 6 foot, like I said. He's about the same size as Garrett Wilson, but he's a little bit taller. And he creates so much space from his route running. I don't believe that's going to be an issue. And anyone in the NFL, you're going to get hit, across the middle. So, like I said, he's one of the more refined, and he's one of those guys that you can plug in day one, and he's going to make big plays. He's, like I said, he's one of the most polished, not one of the most polished. I think he is the most polished receiver in the draft. Okay. And you said that Kiper had him ranked as his fifth receiver. Yeah. I don't agree with that. I believe that those two guys, and this might be going out on a whim here, but I think both of those guys will be picked within the top 15 picks. There's been some chatter with Ron Rivera. Those Commanders are sitting there at 11 right there. If they paired those two together, that would be crazy. So I actually see him coming off the board a lot sooner than the fifth receiver taken.
And real quick, Jay Money, just your feedback in regards to what we said. Real quick for me.
Real quick. So coming from a 3-star prospect going into a first round draft pick, Chris Olave has the mix of Chad Johnson and Randy Moss. He'll go up there and go at the highest apex. Yeah, like Randy Moss.
Randy Moss was 6'4". But at 6'1", you cannot get up to a 6'5".
You must not have been watching Olave.
I've watched him. So. I have. He stretched out well. But he's not going to be able to go up in the air that high.
All right, I appreciate y'all's feedback. Just hold that thought. We'll come right back, y'all. This is the Office Party on WDG, Underground Columbus.
Do you want to hear your music live on air?
And welcome back to Score and Air's 2022 NFL Draft Party. I'm your host, Jeff Trinauskas, with Josh Stoll and Frank Ellington. And if you missed our pre-draft party, shame on you. It's now time for the meat and potatoes of the show here, and that's the actual draft. And for all intents and purposes, the Jaguars are pretty much on the clock.
Yeah.
And they got the first pick. Looking at the Jaguars, they were last in points scored and 28th in points given up. They had a minus 20 turnover margin. So, if you're going to have the first pick in the draft, you were pretty bad the season before. So that's a team that has a lot of needs. And the likely pick here is Aiden Hutchinson. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Aiden Hutchinson. Like I said before, we need defense. If I'm a Jaguars fan, we need that defense. We need a once-in-a-lifetime player in Aiden Hutchinson, and I feel that he's going to be that lifetime player for the Jags.
It seems as though the Jaguars are going to probably pick Trayvon Walker. That's what it looks like. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I personally think Aiden Hutchinson's the best player in the draft, but that all signs are looking like they're going to pick Trayvon Walker, at least for right now.
So the thoughts are here that the Jags are going to go defense. I mean, to the extent that Aiden Hutchinson does not get picked, and Trayvon Walker is the first pick in the NFL draft. You think the Lions would pounce on Aiden Hutchinson, keep him home?
Oh, if they pass on him, yeah, I think Hutchinson will be number 2.
I mean, there's no way that he slides past the second pick.
No, I don't think so. It wouldn't.
Anything can happen, Jeff. Anything can happen.
Are you a Swami there, Josh?
I don't even know what that means. But,
anything can happen, yeah. So, some other things, I know that they like Akeem Ekwonu, the offensive tackle. You know, it's possible that they could go offensive tackle because, you know, the defensive end would help in their rush defense as they were 24th against the rush. Certainly, they got their quarterback of the future in Trevor Lawrence, and thus, you know, you need just like I stated earlier that there was a Ferrari in the back with in Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. I guess they got a Lamborghini in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. And they certainly need to protect him.
Yeah, they need to protect him. I mean, that's a good call, Jeff, about Akeem Iguanu for that first pick overall. I also like Evan Neal out of Alabama. If he doesn't get taken number 1, then I'd probably take Evan Neal. Charlie Cross is another guy from the Texas A&M University who could also be picked in the top 10.
I was going to go with Charles Cross as well.
Yeah.
He could definitely be a potential pick there as well. And Evan Neal, like I said, as far as like the offense, they could go offense, they could go defense, but the Jaguars both were low in those areas, so it fulfills their areas. So.
Yep.
Well, you know, we're hearing that you know, for all intents and purposes, the Jaguars are definitely looking towards Trayvon Walker. I mean, we're going to find out pretty soon.
Yeah.
You know, I find it hard to believe that they would trade out of that pick.
Yeah. I mean, if you got the number 1 pick, choose your guy who you think can change your franchise. And they believe that Trayvon Walker is going to work real well in their system. So if they have him over, if they're seeing something that no other team is seeing, then go with your gut. Go with Trayvon Walker.
Well, that and your scouting.
Yeah, it's not all about gut. It's scouting as well.
Well,
I mean, go ahead, Frank.
I saw that they said the Detroit Lions could be a toss-up between Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, that could possibly be a potential pick, or for quarterbacks or anything. So that could spice it up a bit.
So they'd be moving back to get a quarterback.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Jags couldn't score, and so, you know, they have a quarterback. Why couldn't they score? Receivers could be an option for them, and there's a plethora of wide receivers.
Urban Meyer, that's why they couldn't score. Sorry.
How do you really feel, Josh? So, you know, as we sit here and wait for what the Jaguars might do, you know, Detroit is, it looks as if Aiden Hutchinson's not picked, they're going to go that way.
Yeah.
And we discussed this in our pre-draft show. Quarterback is potentially an option for Detroit here at number 2.
Yeah, but also they like a lot of teams, like he was saying, like if Aiden Hutchinson's there or Kayvon Thibodeau's there, they're going to move up into that second pick. So Detroit actually might move back and take a quarterback.
I mean, the interesting thing here is that you've got 8 teams that do not have a first-round draft pick this year.
Yeah.
Okay, and
18
depending upon how the draft flows and falls, some of those 8 teams might try to trade up into the first round to get their guy. You know, we touched base on this in our pre-draft as well. That 5th-year option for any first-round draft pick is huge, and so, you know, I could see a Browns or a Broncos or Colts try to move into the end of the first round to find their guy, with that potential to have that 5th-year option.
Yep. No, that's a great point. I mean, you gotta a lot of when you have that, then you can sign more players too. You know, you have potential to. I mean, if you look all the way back, maybe was it 2012 or 13 with the Seattle Seahawks. and basically picking up all those defensive players, and then going to the Super Bowl with your second-year quarterback, Russell Wilson, and winning the Super Bowl. So that's an example of what you can do with that potential fifth-year option.
Well, the Jags are officially on the clock. The commissioner has started the has started the draft.
Thank you,
so,
Roger Goodell.
They have up to 10 minutes to make their pick. I would think that they wouldn't need to use that 10 minutes, considering
No.
they've had
How many?
several months to figure out who they're going to pick, right?
Yeah.
But just for the dramatics, will probably make us talk for another 9 minutes
Yeah,
or so.
we'll see what happens here. It's a little antsy now, but they're on the clock, so we will see what happens.
I mean, our own Fred Wheeler is out there, and we're going to touch base with him later on to hear how things are taking place there. I think there were 22 players that were invited to Las Vegas in anticipation of being picked. So you certainly wouldn't want to be that one guy that didn't get picked in the first round and sitting in the green room.
Yeah. It's happened before, several times.
I mean, a little fact here.
Okay.
Note, Ohio State has more first-round picks in the NFL draft than any school.
Go Bucks.
85 total.
Yeah.
With 85 total players picked in the first round, followed by USC at 83 and Alabama has 74. So we certainly expect 2 more Buckeyes to be picked in the first round of this draft. So it's just a question of where they go. So, as I take a look at what's going on there in the green room, there's a lot of swag out there.
A lot of cool suits. I think we just saw Kayvon Thibodeau a minute ago walk by. He looked like he had the Oregon Duck green feathers on his jacket. Oh, there's Chris Olave.
Chris Olave.
Yeah, so there's some swag there.
Yeah.
A lot of guys wearing sunglasses inside. I guess that's what our ensembles are missing here.
Oh, someone give us sunglasses, please.
Sunglasses.
I would wear them proudly.
So as we sit here and wait,
that's a lot of people. Man.
Wait for
That's
the pick. Is it a consensus that we think Aiden Hutchinson is the guy for the Jags?
I think we all like Aiden Hutchinson.
We all like him, yeah.
I mean, everybody likes him. Yes, is he going to go to the Jags?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to go to the Jags, but a lot of people, Trayvon Walker, it looks like. So, again, maybe they're seeing something different than what we're seeing with Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker has moved up the draft boards considerably. So, yep, we got 6 minutes here, it looks like.
So we're as we wait, some of the rumors here, the Houston Texans head coach, he's pushing for LSU cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. Ikwanu is also a possibility. The Texans picked 3rd currently. The Jets are looking like they are pointing towards Sauce Gardner, and they're picking 4th.
I like that.
So they're looking at a corner, if any of these rumors are true. I just can't believe that they're going to go with Trayvon Walker if they go with him.
Why?
I know Aiden Hutchinson is just a dynamic player.
Yeah.
The guy could play in a 4-3 scheme, a 3-4 scheme. And so, he's athletic, he's long, he's fast. So as before that pick goes in, we're going to take a break now. And you're watching the NFL Draft on the Score on Air Network.
Can you see yourself working on TV, radio, or social media? As media professionals, we make our voice heard. Call the Ohio Media School and be a part of something bigger than you and me. You'll train and get the skills you need to work in TV, radio, social media, film, and much more.
I graduated and now am working as a director of marketing at a local radio station. My future is set.
Call the Ohio Media School now and be a part of something bigger. 614-723-9675. 614-723-9675.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score On Air network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus. If you've ever dreamed of
Welcome back to the Score On Air NFL Draft Party. I'm your host, Jeff Chernauskas, with Josh Stoll and Frank Ellington. And through the break here, the pick is in. We're just waiting to see who exactly Jacksonville went with. So the mystery is it's about to be unveiled.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this pick, and it looks like the pick is in.
So as we wait for the pick here, and before we went to break, we were talking. I was telling you about how can they pass on Aiden Hutchinson, and I think he's the most dynamic player in this draft, and a sure thing. So we're just waiting here for the pick. My guess is that it's I have no guess.
I actually already know, but I'm not going to share it.
So the pick is in, and we've now got confirmation that the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, have selected Trayvon Walker, defensive tackle out of Georgia.
Wow.
Trayvon Walker, defensive end, Georgia. Walker exhibits rare athleticism and versatility for a defensive end, has excellent size and pairs that with an impressive get-off at the snap. He shows good power at the point of attack and wins with quickness and the ability to transfer speed to power. His speed and length let him chase down run plays away from him, and his ability to anchor and set the edge is impressive. He'll need to work on his hand counters and pass rush moves to be his best, but the components are there for him to be a rare pass rusher.
So that was Fred Wheeler with his take on Trayvon Walker. Kind of a surprise here. I know we talked about it, and rumors had it that the Jags were interested in him. I'm just really surprised that they did not go with Aiden Hutchinson. But what can you tell us about Trayvon Walker?
I mean, I guess the last 3-4 days, they've really liked Trayvon Walker, and he really fits their system. He's got all the components that you want in a defensive lineman. He's quick, he's fast, he'll come up the gut and take the quarterback.
Just piggyback off what Josh is saying, Trayvon Walker is a great addition for the Jaguars. He can help them with their defense. And the Jaguars are actually going to do big things, I feel like, with Trayvon Walker that'll help them grow in their defense.
Yeah, so Trayvon Walker, the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, lineman out of Georgia. So with that, is it a sure thing Aiden Hutchinson goes to the Lions? I mean, how could they pass him up? They keep him home. He's a University of Michigan
the pick
guy.
looks like it's in.
It wouldn't mind if Aiden Hutchinson can stay with Michigan and stay with the Lions. So I mean, Detroit is in Michigan, so.
I mean, how can you pass up on a guy like that? Detroit was 31st in points allowed. They were 25th in points scored. They were 28th against the rush and 24th against the pass. So I don't believe that there's any argument that defense is most likely on the Lions' radar I just don't think they anticipated Aiden Hutchinson being a possible guy they could select. They have cornerback where they can go. When Derek Stingley or Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
So anybody on the defensive side could help them with Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no question. I think Aiden Hutchinson right here goes second, and then it looks like they haven't traded their pick to any team. So I'm assuming they're going to take him. I'm assuming they're going to take Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, I believe that they should. They won't regret it. Aiden Hutchinson, like I said, is a once-in-a-lifetime player, and I think he should.
Well,
I think Detroit is his home for him. So
I'm just surprised that Aiden Hutchinson is not the first pick.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm more surprised by that than the fact that Trayvon Walker. They're getting a great player out of Georgia. I mean, Georgia fielded a basic NFL defense.
Pick is in.
So here we go. The Detroit Lions have picked, and they were. And with that, they picked Aiden Hutchinson. So they didn't waste any time.
Yep.
In picking Aiden Hutchinson.
Good pick.
Great pick.
No, I really enjoyed that pick.
Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end, Michigan. If you were building the perfect defensive end, you'd probably end up with something that looks a lot like Aiden Hutchinson. With his length, power, and speed, he has everything you could want at the position. He has experience as a 4-3 or a 3-4 end, 3-technique tackle, and as a stand-up outside linebacker. Look for big things from him in his career.
So now that we're back, Detroit didn't waste any time picking Aiden Hutchinson. They're keeping him home. The Michigan grad is now going to be a Detroit Lion. And haven't heard any screams from the gallery. I know there's one guy that's probably happy that they didn't pick a quarterback. But Aiden Hutchinson, arguably the best player in this draft, was the second pick, and he's now going to be a Detroit Lion.
This is great. Yeah, it's good for him. I know his family's proud because they're all from up there. I think his dad played for the University of we shall not name. This is a good fit, and hopefully it can help Detroit win.
And hopefully get Detroit a better season. Like I said, defense wins games, and
that's right.
And defense needs to ramp up a bit. So with Hutchinson, it's a done deal for him.
Well, Detroit's getting a dynamic player on the defensive line. As stated before, he can play in multiple schemes. He can line up on the side. He can line up inside. I wouldn't doubt that they got him playing in space and in coverage at times. He's very dynamic, very athletic, very strong. There's not a lot of weakness to his game. He'll go right in on the defensive line for Detroit and be an impact player for them. So we'll see where Detroit goes, because they were the first of 8 teams that has two first-round draft choices. They got the 32nd pick currently in the first round, but they went defense with the first pick and Aiden Hutchinson. So that puts the Texans on the clock.
Texans.
They're
still picking.
From what we're seeing, they seem to be looking at a corner.
Okay.
And Derek Stingley. They are, let's see, the Texans. So again, they were 30th in points scored. They were last in the NFL in offense.
Yeah.
They were 27th in points allowed, 31st on defense. So they couldn't score, and they couldn't defend. So their team needs are very are very wide-ranging.
Yeah.
And they're one of the teams that we had thought could go and get a quarterback. Just questioning whether the Texans will take one at 3. From what we're hearing, it looks like they'll go defense. They do have a second pick. They're another team that has a second pick later on down in the first round. So where do you think the Texans are going to go?
Yeah, I mean, so far, I guess quarterback has not been taken, so I don't see them taking a quarterback. So yeah, I mean, Derek Stingley Jr. could go 3. You could also take Ahmad Sauce Gardner out of the University of Cincinnati. He's probably the next best corner. So it looks like they're going to take corner for this pick.
Yeah, that'd be a big shock if Derek Stingley Jr. goes number 3, since they had him going a little bit down in the draft. But that'd be a big shot for him to go number 3.
Kayvon Thibodeau is also available. Could there be 3 straight defensive ends selected in succession here to start the NFL draft?
Yeah, when was the last time that happened?
Not quite sure what that. I don't know if it's
Hopefully
ever
our
happened.
team can pull that up for us. Maybe it's never happened.
It might not have happened. But if they decide to go offensive line is probably the way to go. And
Yeah, some good offensive line.
Hakeem Ekwonu,
Evan Neal,
and Evan Neal are 2 shoe-ins
looks like it might be
to select. So the pick is in here. All right. So the Houston Texans with the 3rd pick of the NFL draft selected Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU, the cornerback. Say about
Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback, Louisiana State. Stingley burst onto the scene in 2019 as a true freshman for LSU's national championship team, showing the speed and fluidity that the NFL wants from its cornerbacks. A technician in man-to-man coverage, his ability to mirror a receiver is impressive, but not as impressive as his ball skills as he displays in jumping a route. Stingley exhibits the type of athleticism and intelligence that makes him a rare find, but teams may be put off by a lackluster 2020 season and a 2021 season loss to a Liz Frank fracture.
All right, we're back here. So with the 3rd pick in the draft, the Texans selected Derek Stingley Jr., the cornerback out of LSU, and so we got our NFL draft guru, Ohio Media's own Fred Wheeler out there in Las Vegas. And Fred, what do you think of the first 3 picks?
And Houston got it right. They could have gone a lot of different ways, but they got it right. Derek Stingley Jr. was kind of falling down draft boards prior to his pro day due to the Liz Frank injury he suffered. I think it was actually in the second game of the season, but he toughed it out a couple of games, which says a lot because that's an ugly injury. And yeah, he came back and he ran, I think it was a 4.37 40, ran his cone drills, did everything that they expected him to do. And I sort of a last push to move ahead of Ahmad Gardner at the cornerback spot. But yeah, there was a lot of different directions that Houston could have gone in. They could have gone offensive line. I think a lot of people thought that they were not going to go offensive line because they've already got Laramie Tunsil there for a couple more years. But I feel that if you're going to bottom out, if you're going to be that team and rebuild from the studs up, that they would have been better off trading Tunsil to somebody, maybe picking up a pick from, I don't know, maybe the Packers, maybe 22 or 28, and Hutchinson to the Lions. That was a no-brainer. You saw them practically run that pick up to the commissioner.
All right, Fred. Well, we're going to come back to you in a little bit, and at this point, we're going to take a break, and we're going to throw it to the underground. You've been listening to the NFL Draft on the Score on Air Network.
On his passing ratings was very good. He is someone that I would like to bring in if I was the GM. I'd bring him in, show him Seattle. If you've never been to Seattle, Seattle is a beautiful city. Not only that, but we've got a stadium that has a collapsible, but a closing dome. I've got everything that I need to get you to come to play for me.
And what is this gentleman's name?
Right off the top of my head, I can't think of it.
Bailey Zapp.
Bailey Zapp.
He set the single season passing.
Yeah. Was it pass completion percentage, wasn't it?
No, passing touchdowns.
Oh, passing touchdowns.
In a season, passing one of the greats in Joe Burrow.
Yes, he threw for more. I think Joe threw for 60, right?
And he threw for 61.
Wow.
That's a tremendous season.
Ooh, this ain't your grandpa's college football, dog. He throwing 61 touchdowns.
He put up some great numbers, scored a lot of points, and Appalachian State was one of the ones that they played in the playoffs and did very well.
So he actually finished with 5,977 yards and 62 touchdowns.
Hey, thank you.
Man, so I'm gonna stick with you, Jay Money, in regards to the Bengals, man. What is if you are playing GM, what is one player in the first round you like to have on your team?
So there's two. It's either
kicker.
No. We got our kicker of the franchise.
Y'all broke my heart week 1. I was sitting second row at the game, had 3 heart attacks.
But that's just the thing, though. It's not even going to be that kind of kicker. They're getting a punter first.
Hey, hold on now.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to mute your mic, dog. Come on, Jay.
So I'm looking at two. I'm looking at Brandon Lloyd. Or if Kyer Elam is not there at 31, I would go with Sign. Safety out of I can't. Matter of fact, I got his name.
Lewis Singh?
Yes, Lewis Singh.
Out of Georgia.
Out of Georgia.
Man, Georgia got everybody.
They loaded.
Yeah, they have probably the most draft picks in this year's draft.
For sure.
But Ohio State still holds the most first-round draft picks.
You already know.
Hey, we're 85. And it's going to go up by 2 today.
I'm going to go ahead and swing it to you, King Art, man. If you played GM, if you were part of the Jones family, if you had the choice to pick somebody in the draft, man, who would you choose?
I say, man, if Bernard Raynham was there, that's who I'd like to get, man. I'd like to get that tackle and guard situation situated, especially with Tyron Smith getting up there in age. He's a perennial Pro Bowler and All-Star, but he hasn't played a full season in probably 5 seasons. So I like to solidify that offensive line. The game is won in the trenches.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my last question before we go to a break, man. Just really quick, I'm going to start with you, Eric, man. When it comes to NFC West, where do you think the Seattle Seahawks will finish at the end of the season?
I would like to see us finish at least 3rd or 4th, but San Francisco is loaded. I'm trying to think of a couple other teams that are out there right now that off the top of my head, but
Rams.
Yes. Don't forget LA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they will be tough to beat, but if we can get young, fast defensive players that want to swarm to the ball and we can gang tackle, I think, and a good quarterback, I think we'll be just fine and finish about 3rd or 4th.
All right, perfect. How about the Bengals, Jay Money? What do you think we'll finish in the AFC North?
The whole AFC conference runs through Cincinnati right now.
That's facts. That's facts.
But as far as the AFC North, it's going to be a tie this year at the top. Cincinnati going to be up there at the top, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking for Baltimore to rebound.
Yeah, man.
You know,
as see Lamar do something, bro.
They need a number 1 receiver
and stay healthy too.
Yeah.
I see Pittsburgh being higher than Cleveland.
If they get Dobbins back and they get a number 1 receiver, watch out, man. They're gonna be unstoppable. They always carry a great defense, but that offense is crazy.
Yeah.
When Lamar has somebody back there that he can play action with. It's crazy.
And stick with you, King Art, just to close us out, man. Where you think the conference?
And we're back here on the Scoring Air Network's NFL Draft Day party, and the Jets are on the clock here with the 4th pick. The first three picks of the game or the draft have been defensive players. We'll see if the streak continues. Gentlemen, where do you think the Jets go?
I think they're going to go either with a wide receiver or a cornerback. So you could either take Garrett Wilson or I guess Sauce Gardner and Trent McDuffie are still on the board.
Gotcha. Well, the pick is in. And the Jets have gone with the fourth pick in the NFL draft. The Jets have gone with Ahmad Sauce Gardner, cornerback out of the University of Cincinnati.
Ahmad Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati. At 6'3", Gardner packs everything necessary for NFL success into a big package. A mentally tough competitor, Sauce has excellent speed and his ability to flip his hips and run with a receiver. He'll probably perform best on a team that is zone-heavy in their coverage scheme, but he is solid in straight-up man coverage. He's good as a run defender, but tends to be a drag-down tackler, and you'll need to watch his hands at the next level. He can get grabby at times.
And we're back here on the Score on Air Network's NFL Draft Day party. The Jets just picked Ahmad Sauce Gardner, cornerback out of the University of Cincinnati. On the clock now is the New York Giants, their counterpart. Before we talk about the Giants' potential options there, what do we think about the pick by the Jets?
I feel like that's a good pick. That's a great pick. Sauce Gardner is a very highly competitive player. He's very confident. I mean, he can be cocky at times, but I mean, hey, cocky is good. Confidence is always good. But yeah, they definitely got a good pick in Sauce Gardner. I mean, I like the name, by the way. So that's.
Is that pasta sauce? Did you go with that?
I say hot sauce.
Hot sauce. All right.
I mean, I
Pass me
like
the
it.
hot sauce.
I like it too. He was definitely probably the best guy you could have taken there. Although I do like to see maybe them grab a wide receiver, but they can grab a wide receiver at 10. So that's their next pick. But we got the Giants next. So
The Giants are on the clock now, so we've got 4 straight defensive players.
Wow.
The Giants are the 31st offense, second to last offense in the league last year. So they were pretty bad. And I think this is where we see our first offensive player picked. My guess is they're going offensive line.
Yep.
Hakeem Ekwonu is a good fit. Evan Neal out of Alabama. Either one of those guys could be helpful for a team that struggles to run and pass.
I would also throw Charles Cross in there as well. He could be also a big help for the Giants' offense as well. Offensive
Big
lineman.
lineman out of Mississippi State there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
he went
like
to
Charles
Mississippi
Cross?
State?
You just like his name?
No,
C squared?
It could be C squared, but
I think the two top guys are Hakeem Ekwonu and then Evan Neal. So any of those guys, whoever they pick, especially when you go offensive line, you need to run your offense if you're the Giants through Saquon Barkley, because they drafted that guy a few years ago, and yes, he's been stricken with injury, but he's still a beast out there. So I mean, and then anything to help out Daniel Jones.
Yeah, so we are a consensus here to
offensive line.
To go offensive line.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be our first offensive
I
player.
really think could be offensive line.
I mean, it sounds as if our own Fred Wheeler is agreeing with this.
Oh, cool.
To some extent. We'll see how accurate we are. If they were to for some reason go on the defensive side, where I mean, the Kayvon Thibodeau is a possibility there. They were not. They were 21st in total defense, 15th against the pass, 25th against the rush. So you could certainly use a defensive lineman, defensive end, if they went on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, and then you also got Jordan Davis. He's out of Georgia too. You think you draft him as well? I like him. So.
All right. Well, Fred, hey.
Since
we're waiting for the pick for the Giants, you've been listening to us. Are we accurate based on what you think, or are we way off base?
I think that Evan Neal is probably the pick, and I say that for this reason. Brian Dable was on the Alabama staff, I believe it was 2015, that won the national championship. So he's familiar with Nick Saban, and he's familiar with what those players go through down there. He knows that physically and mentally, probably Alabama's as close to an NFL level program in college as you're going to get. And the fact that you're able to throw Evan Neal over to the right side, where he started 3 years or 2 years, I believe, he can go to guard, or he can even take over left tackle, and you can kick Andrew Thomas over to right guard. That gives you flexibility on a line, and flexibility is never a bad thing. And you're right. The Giants' offense does need to run through Saquon Barkley, because clearly running it through Daniel Jones is not effective.
Gotcha there. And the interesting thing is the Giants will pick 2 picks later after this. So if they don't get, they go offense here, they could easily go defense on the 2 picks from now. So it'll be interesting to see where the Giants go. But it's a consensus here on our panel that they're going offensive line. And you like Evan Neal, and we like Akeem Ekwonu over here. So, we can have a gentleman's wager here. And see which offensive tackle gets picked.
And we were...
Who's that guy up with? Roger
Yeah.
Goodell. He's announcing.
So, I mean, there's a... So where do you think the Giants will, if they go offensive tackle here and they got to pick 2 picks later, where do you think, Fred, that they will go on the other side 2 picks from now?
I think that what you're going to see for the 7th pick is if they go offense at 5, they go defense at 7. If they go defense at 5, they go offense at 7. But there's also the possibility that would want to trade down from 7. There's been a lot of talk that they want that additional pick for the 2023 draft, a draft that at the top of it, you're probably going to see Bryce Young from Alabama, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, and depending on if he can resurrect his career at South Carolina, Spencer Rattler. 3 quarterbacks you could see at the top of the draft, and they want to put themselves in position to get one of those guys.
Gotcha. All right, so you're thinking if they go offense here, they're going defense on the 2 picks from now.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So let's see we'll see where the pick goes. As we keep, so the pick is in. Okay, so here we go. It looks like we were wrong on all fronts, and the New York Giants with the 5th pick stay defense, and they go Kayvon Thibodeau, the defensive end out of the University of Oregon.
Kayvon Thibodeau, defensive end, Oregon. Athletic, rangy, explosive. Those might be Thibodeau's best qualities, but they're not his only qualities. Has an incredible first step and has shown the ability to set up an offensive lineman throughout the game. Can set the edge and brings heavy hands with him, holding up at the point of attack. Has experience at defensive end and as a Sam linebacker.
ESPN app. You're back. You guys need something to talk about.
All right, we're back here, and so the New York Giants went with Kayvon Thibodeau, the big defensive end out of Oregon. So that's 5 straight defensive players that have been taken to start the NFL draft. How do you guys see this playing out for New York?
They obviously needed to shore up that defensive line, and we were talking about that, but we did not think it was going to be Kayvon Thibodeau. You might have. Did you say Kayvon Thibodeau?
We all thought it was going to be an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
So my guess is that the 2 picks from now they're going to go offense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, defense is, like I said, defense wins championships, and I guess these teams, they want championships, so they feel like defense is the best part. So with that, I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau will be a good, solid pick for them. I think he'll help them out, and we'll see what the future may bring for them. You never know.
Well, the interesting thing is that after the Giants pick, the Carolina Panthers were picking before the Giants picked again.
Yeah.
So they must have thought Kayvon Thibodeau was their best defensive player on their board.
Yeah.
And that the Panthers were going to take him. So they must think, and if what Fred was saying earlier, that if they went defense here, that they would go offense, that their offensive guy would still be there at the 7th pick. So Kayvon Thibodeau to the Big Apple. He goes from the West Coast, he goes to now to the East Coast, right? So we'll see if he can handle the big city. As we move forward, the Panthers are one of the teams that we discussed that might need a quarterback. Could this be the pick that a quarterback is taken off the board?
I mean, earlier on the show, I said yes, they're going to take Kenny Pickett, so I'm going to stick by that.
I don't know. I feel like the Panthers could use a quarterback, or they definitely need some offense. I think they probably might need a receiver. You never know.
Well, it's hard for me to think that they wouldn't go offense here. They were second in total defense last year, so their defense was pretty stout. Definitely 4th against the pass, 18th against the rush. So they definitely can play some defense. So it's hard for me not to think they're not going offense. So if they're not going quarterback, I could see them taking an offensive lineman. And once again, we talked about Akeem Ekwonu, Evan Neal, Charles Cross. These are your 3 blue chip type linemen. So if they were going to go with a lineman, which guy would you like to go with?
I would go with Akeem Ekwonu. He's a generational pick that can help out the offensive line and help help protect the quarterback. Keeps him from getting sacked, and I think Ekwonu will be a great pick for them.
Now I'm going to say Evan Neal. Yeah,
Evan Neal.
I like Evan Neal out of Alabama. I think that'd be a nice pick for them.
Fred, you still with us? All right, so now the Panthers here, we were kicking the tires about the possibility that they could be the first team to pick a quarterback, because their offense was just atrocious last year. But we were also debating whether they go offensive lineman. From your perspective, where do you think the Panthers pivot here?
Well, I felt that they were going to be drafting Kenny Pickett from the get-go. Matt Rule, the Panthers head coach, he recruited Kenny Pickett when he was the head coach at Temple. He runs a similar offense to something that Pickett has already been running in college. And let's face it, after the last couple of years, he's now on the hot seat. He needs to win now. Is an offensive lineman going to make the team better? Yeah. Is it going to win them more games? Probably not. If they don't take a quarterback, I feel like they're making this pick, and then you will see something announced maybe tonight, maybe before the draft is over tomorrow, sending Baker Mayfield to Carolina.
Gotcha. All right, well, that'll be an interesting take to see where they go. This could be our gentlemen. This could be our first quarterback, and Fred is liking Kenny Pickett. You guys are liking Kenny Pickett from the quarterback position. Considering, Fred, that you had Malik Willis being giving him the only first-round grade, is this kind of a surprise? Is it a reach?
If they take Kenny Pickett, is it a reach?
Yes.
No. I think sometimes we get things mixed up. I think Malik Willis probably has the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this draft, but I also think that Kenny Pickett is the most NFL ready. I think his ceiling is probably going to be a once every 3 or 4 year Pro Bowler. He's not going to be exactly a game manager, but he's never going to be one of those top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the league. Where Malik Willis, if he pans out in the direction that people feel he absolutely could be one of the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the league. And I feel like there's pressure on Matt Rule to win, and I just don't know if an offensive lineman helps them. But I will also say that an offensive lineman is probably the smart pick especially since you've got your choice of them at number 6. And I don't think anybody had them being able to take their pick of the top 3 tackles.
Wow. Yeah. It's interesting.
I mean, right. Given the fact that there has not been a run on the offensive line, and there's been a run on the defensive players, it definitely shows that the teams, at least at the top, value defense as a premium over offense at this point in time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, in the last, I guess you could say 15 years, but it's really been the last 10 years or so, you've seen the NFL move to a league where it's all about the passing game. It's either facilitating it with being an offensive tackle, a wide receiver, or a quarterback, or it's shutting it down, being an edge rusher or a cornerback. And that's what we saw at the top of this draft, is we've seen defensive players to shut it down, and now we've seen an offensive player to help facilitate it.
Interesting take.
Well,
here we go.
Waiting on that pick, huh?
Yeah, we're still waiting on that pick from Carolina here.
Yeah. They're taking their time, aren't they?
But it looks like the pick is in, and it doesn't look like a quarterback was taken.
Wow.
But they did go offense, and it's Akeem Ekwonu,
Hey.
the big offensive tackle out of NC State.
Eka Mekwonu, offensive tackle, North Carolina State. A starter as a true freshman, Ekwonu quickly became one of the most dynamic blockers in the ACC, earning first-team All-ACC.
Yeah, sorry I let that kind of slip, guys. I know you hadn't told people to pick
Ekwonu is the type of heavy-handed, anchor-dropping tackle teams look for. While he can be too aggressive at times and lose technique, his power at the point of attack, coupled with his football IQ, show me he's a future Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
And welcome back here. So the Carolina Panthers select Akeem Ekwonu.
Wow.
The big offensive tackle out of NC State. As we were discussing with Fred, this was an opportunity where a quarterback could have gone this way. And as we've all agreed, an offensive lineman certainly is going to help them, but they still need a playmaker to take the snaps. But how do you feel about this pick with the Carolina Panthers?
I mean, I think it helps them too because they're protecting their quarterback, their young quarterback, Sam Darnold. But also it shows like, hey, maybe not picking quarterback here, you could take and trade for Baker Mayfield, maybe tomorrow or later tonight. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that was a good pick for the Panthers. Ekwonu can help them out. I know he's compared to Lamari Tunsil. He's got good strength. He's quick. He moves a lot. He has a lot of power and everything. So with Ekwonu, yeah, he can definitely be a great factor for them, for sure.
Excellent. And right now the New York Giants are on the clock. But before we get that pick, we're going to take a break here. You've been listening to the NFL Draft on the Score on Air Network.
Can you see yourself working on TV, radio, or social media? As media professionals, we make our voice heard. Call the Ohio Media School and be a part of something bigger than you and me. You'll train and get the skills you need to work in TV, radio, social media, film, and much more.
I graduated and now am working as a director of marketing at a local radio station. My future is set.
Call the Ohio Media School now and be a part of something bigger. 614-723-9675. 614-723-9675.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score on Air Network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus.
I met Mr. Porter from the Porter Foundation and our community dealings, just meeting people, good people in the community. He was telling me about a program that they were thinking about starting up, just getting kids involved, getting them off of the street, and just he knew there was a lot of kids in that 5th Avenue area over at Crum Park. I was a brand new recruiting sergeant, and I was looking for different programs to be involved in, helping kids, especially in like after school capacity or coaching, mentoring space. So I got hooked up with Mr. Porter, and I became a coach. I loved the kids that I had. It was actually my majority of my team was made up of one family, and they ended up being like really good listeners and team players. Some people struggled, but it was just really good opportunity to spend time with the youth over there in that community. And then actually, I didn't let them know I was a police officer right away, but over the time I ended up telling them, and a lot of people were shocked, but they all, I had already been there. I was told by one of the rec leaders that, hey, if you come back one time, they'll love you forever. Just seeing the progression of my kids, seeing them, share the ball with each other, learning different things, learning how to do a press, learning how to set a screen, making their shots. I love how they look back at me as the coach when they do something good, and I'm like, no, you did something good, keep doing it, and just building with them, just building that relationship. That's probably been the best thing for me. I'm from this community. I'm born and raised in Columbus, and this is a way for me to give back, and let people see a police officer, somebody who's actually, out here doing police things in a different light. You may see what you see on TV. It may be nationwide, different things going on, but at the same time, there are great police officers here in this city doing good works and building with the community. This is what we do. This is where we live. This is what we're good at. Service is number one for us in Columbus.
Welcome back to
The following is
Score
a
on
broad-
Air's NFL Draft Day Party. I'm Jeff Chernauskas with Josh Stoll and Frank Ellington. And we are now up to pick 7.
All right.
And the New York Giants are once again on the clock. They went with, what did they go with? They went Kayvon Thibodeau with their first pick. So the thought is that they are going to go offense on this side of the ball. We discussed earlier that their offense was terrible. Now, well, I'm getting feedback here that the pick is in, and it looks as if our hunch is right. The New York Giants select Evan Neal, big offensive tackle out of Alabama.
Evan Neal, offensive tackle, Alabama. A mountain of a man, Neal is easily the biggest of the first-round tackles in this draft. Switched from right tackle to left tackle for the 2021 season, and it looks to have been a successful transition. Uses his size effectively to create movement in the run game, as well as wear down smaller edge players in pass pro. Has excellent spatial recognition skills that allow him to decipher an opponent's next move and counter it.
So Evan Neal,
hey,
the offensive tackle from Alabama, goes to the Giants. So as we discussed earlier, they went defensive end. So they're trying to fortify their lines, both defense and offensive line. They were atrocious offensively last year. So this can only help their pass and run game.
Wow. I mean, this is a great pick. I really like this pick. Arguably, because, you got Akeem Ekwonu. He was the first offensive lineman. Now you got Evan Neal. So you can't go wrong with either of those guys. So this is going to really help, especially with Saquon Barkley in the backfield.
Yes, Evan Neal is a great pickup. He's pretty big for his size. He carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
He can be a little bit over anxious at times, like some rookies when they start out. But he'll be a great addition for their offense. For their defense. I'm sorry, but yeah.
So there you go. We got Evan Neal, offensive lineman. So now the Falcons are on the clock, and with Calvin Ridley being suspended for a year, will there be any surprise here that they don't go wide receiver? Could this be our first wide receiver? Could we see a Buckeye leave and get chosen here and with pick 8?
Yeah, I really want an Ohio State player to be drafted at 8 because Atlanta, they need the wide receiver. But you also got Drake London out there. You know, you also got
Jameson Williams
out
Chris
of Alabama.
Olave.
Chris Olave from Ohio State as well. So, you know, getting a wide receiver, I think, is the move.
Well, the Falcons already have their pick in, so they didn't waste any time.
Yeah.
And so I think we are right on par here. And with the eighth pick in the NFL draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Drake London, wide receiver out of USC.
Drake London, wide receiver, Southern Cal. 88 receptions, 1,000 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns. That's a whole season for most college receivers, but Drake London did it in 8 games. An excellent athlete, London shows you the size, speed, body control, and jumping ability that should make him a red zone nightmare for years to come. Strong hands enable him to come down with the ball in most 50-50 situations. A tough competitor, he doesn't shy away when contact is imminent.
And we're back here at the draft. So the Atlanta Falcons take Drake London, wide receiver out of USC. No surprise here?
I mean, not a surprise to take a wide receiver. I just wouldn't have taken Drake London. I mean, when was the last time a USC receiver was actually good in the NFL? Especially with Ohio State receivers. And, you know, you got the guy from the Washington Commanders. And I'm forgetting his name, but that's okay. We're going to move on. But, I mean, you have so many. You got Chris Olave, and then you got Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson was my favorite receiver for Ohio State for a long time. Terry McLaurin's the guy that I forgot his name. And then the New Orleans receiver as well. I'm forgetting his name. Michael Thomas. So, I mean, it's okay. I mean, Drake London, he's a big guy, 6'4", and, you know, he's your receiver that can catch really high balls in the airs, but does he have the route running like Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave? I don't know.
I mean, he has potential. You know, with him, he has the strong liquid ability to catch the ball. But as far as you said, his routes are questionable. But, you know, that in time, he'll learn to get better, and he'll, you know, we'll see where he needs to be. You know, he gets to that level. You know, it takes time for him to reach that potential.
Gotcha. So to answer your question, Juju Smith-Schuster out of USC, he's not a bad receiver.
That's a good.
So yeah, so he's not bad.
But other than him,
but no surprise they went with the wide receiver. It's just who they selected. So, you know, I'm going to ask Fred here. He's on the line. Is that a reach, Drake London?
Drake London at this pick? No, it's not a reach, but I don't know who was talking earlier and they said that who was the last good at USC wide receiver. That's kind of how I've looked at it. Yes, you're right. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's good, but he was also not a first-round pick. He was, I think, a third-round pick. So it just like players from USC get giant West Coast Los Angeles boost, and then they come into the NFL and it's like, oh, actual competition. I'm out. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this pick. I did think that Jermaine Johnson from Florida State, who transferred to Florida State from Georgia, would have been a possibility here because it seems like edge rusher is a position that the Falcons have been trying to fix for years, forever. But yeah, wide receiver was definitely going to be the pick here. I was a little surprised it was Drake London. I have been feeling like Chris Olave was going to be the pick in them.
Gotcha.
I'm not as high on Garrett Wilson as I am on Olave, but yeah, it was going to be a wide receiver. If it was anybody else but that would have been the shot.
Gotcha. Well, now the Seahawks are on the clock. And we had thought the Panthers might actually pick a quarterback then, and they did not. Seattle traded away Russell Wilson.
Yep.
And they did get Drew Lock, certainly a downgrade from what they had. And so is there any consensus here that we might see a quarterback finally taken off the board today?
Yeah, I mean, this draft hasn't been trending quarterbacks, so, I mean, they could. I mean, since we've seen some defensive linemen go and offensive linemen, I think we're going to stick with that because a lot of these teams are like, oh my gosh, these teams are picking our offensive lineman or defensive lineman. We need to take one of these players. So I'm going to say they're going to take an offensive or defensive lineman.
And the pick is in. And the Seattle Seahawks, with the 9th selection, did not go quarterback, as we were discussing, and they went with Charles Cross, the big offensive tackle out of Mississippi State.
Charles Cross, offensive tackle, Mississippi State. Cross is an exceptional athlete, not for his size, for any size. His first step quickness makes it very difficult for edge rushers to beat him to the corner, and his athleticism lets him shut down inside moves as well as get to the second level and make blocks in space. He does a very good job of recognizing stunts and twists and knowing when to disengage from a rusher. Not the most devastating run blocker, but in Mike Leach's air raid offense, he simply was not asked to do that very much. Maybe the best pure left tackle in this draft.
So we're back here on the Score on Air Network's NFL Draft special, and we just announced the Seattle Seahawks pick, Charles Cross, offensive tackle out of Mississippi State. Seems like there's been a run on the offensive tackles now.
Yeah.
Seattle comes in. They were average offensively. They were 20th in total offense, 11th in rush, 23rd against the 23rd pass, the middle of the pack in points scored. So certainly it didn't go with the quarterback at that point in time. Yeah. So they must be comfortable with Drew Lock. So they wanted to get somebody to protect him.
I mean, unfortunately, we thought we was going to get him a quarterback, but then we got the offense. Charles Cross is a good addition to their team. He does a nice job of allowing his edge rushers to work. He does a nice job of adjusting his hands whilst they're engaged. We could work on a little bit on his technique and everything, but with him, he's a solid pick for the Seahawks.
Can't go wrong with this pick. He was one of the top guys off the board, obviously, for them. I mean, yeah, I don't believe in Drew Lock, but, this is a trial run for them, the Seattle Seahawks. So we'll see how Drew Lock does this year, and getting that offensive line is definitely going to help him.
So the Jets are back on the clock here. They selected a cornerback with their first pick, and now they go with the 10th pick.
Yeah.
They probably could go with I'm looking at a wide receiver as well.
I think you go for a receiver on this pick, yeah. Garrett Wilson's on the board. Take him.
Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams.
I mean, is there any surprise here if they don't go wide receiver?
I'd be a little surprised, but I think a lot of our top defensive guys on the defensive line and the offensive line are already gone. So, and we already have Drake London gone. So take your next best guy, which I think we all believe is probably going to be Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. So I mean, a couple things that are surprising to me. There has not been any team that has traded down or up yet.
Exactly.
Right? And there hasn't been a quarterback selected. Now we have heard on throughout all these mock drafts and information here that this quarterback class is average at best if you put them in another class. And what we're finding out here is that we had two teams that were quarterback needy, as we identified, and they passed on them. So it's an interesting take here. These quarterbacks, even though they got a lot of publicity and media coverage, we have yet to see one go off the board yet. And, as the clock, once again, we're on the clock with the Jets, and we think we're going to go wide receiver here. Fred, what do you think?
I think that everybody is expecting a wide receiver here. What I would think is that if I was making the selection for the Jets, I might go Jermaine Johnson here. They need somebody to work off the edge there in New York, and we saw last year that was it Carl Lawson? They signed from the Bengals. He got injured midway through the year, and did anybody really expect him to come in and be that 10 to 13 sack guy that you need to really pressure the quarterback? Because I didn't. But Jermaine Johnson could be that guy. But with all that said, all we've heard in the offseason is how much the Jets want to give Zach Wilson more weapons to work with. I think that you might see them take this all the way down, and they're trying to work a trade. The teams that I've heard, you were talking about Deebo Samuel earlier, and he's been very, very adamant that he wants to be traded. They've linked him to the Chiefs. They've linked him to the Packers. Neither one of those teams makes any sense to me because both of those teams traded a wide receiver that was expecting that top-tier contract because they didn't want to pay it. So why would they trade for a guy who's expecting a top-tier contract? Where the Jets, they're more than happy to pay that. They were in on Tyreek Hill. There's an arms race in the AFC East, and yeah, it just makes sense that wide receiver is where they're going to go with this pick. If I was guessing, I would say it's probably going to be Garrett Wilson. Yeah, it's probably going to be Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave. I don't see how it's anybody else.
So wide receiver is the way. They went defense with their first pick and a corner, and so we're thinking the wide receiver is next on the agenda for the Jets.
Yeah.
And so could this be where the Buckeyes, one of the Buckeyes goes?
It better be.
Well, we're here. We're going to find out right now. The pick is
Here we
in.
go.
And there you go, OH.
I-O.
Yeah, the first Buckeye off the board is Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of OSU.
Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. A dynamic threat in both the pass and run game, Wilson will provide options to a team, especially if they include a lot of run-pass options in their offense. Posted a blazing 40 time at the Combine, but is best when he creates separation with his breaks and double moves. Consistently gets a clean release, but can be pressed at the line and thrown off his route by stronger corners. Hands are very good, but concentration drops have been an issue in the past.
So there you go, Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State, first Buckeye off the board, wide receiver. He's going to be a Jet.
Woo!
I like this pick. Now I know he's compared to Chad Ochocinco, from what I hear. Hopefully that's not in a bad way, but he's athletic. He's very athletic. He's really, he can transition. He can, go on good routes. But his weakness is he's very small, but with the weights he can lift, I can train him and everything. But he can definitely make some noise with as a wide receiver for the Jets.
Garrett Wilson has that it about him that you don't get to see in many receivers. A lot of stuff you can't teach with him. The way that he pursues the ball, the way that he catches it with the 2 feet in bounds, and the way he runs his routes. He's going to do great, and this is great for Zach Wilson, too, for New York.
Yeah, so Garrett Wilson, the one thing you cannot teach is speed. And he is extremely fast.
Yep.
So he has the ability to, create separation through his breaks and through double moves. So, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State, is now a New York Jet. Which brings us to the next team on the clock, the Washington Commanders, who also need a wide receiver. Is it possible that Olave, we go Buckeyes back to back?
Back to back. Like Drake. We ain't talking Drake.
I mean, this is a possibility too. Where, and to my surprise, as much as the Commanders would need a wide receiver, I'm surprised that Kyle Hamilton has not been drafted.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton is still on the board. Jermaine Johnson, Jordan Davis. So I know we'd like to see an Ohio State player go back to back, but I think I like the Kyle Hamilton pick. I think they probably go Kyle Hamilton here.
In Washington?
Yeah.
So Washington, you're thinking they're going defense with Kyle Hamilton.
Yep.
I still think we go back to back with wide receivers. What do you think, Frank?
I am definitely thinking a wide receiver in this one for sure.
How about Carson Wentz? Yeah, that'd be good for Washington.
Yeah. So with Washington here, they are 21st. They're 21st in offense last year. They were 21st in the pass and 12th in rushing. So they were kind of in the lower third of offense. As it pertains to defense, they were 22nd, so they were lower third in total defense as well. They gave up a lot of points, and they didn't score a lot of points as well. So Washington could go either defense or offense here. But with newly acquired Carson Wentz, I'm going with the possibility of the wide receiver.
Okay.
And I'm thinking Chris Olave is going to be our selection.
So back to back, you're pretty much saying.
Back to back. I'm thinking Buckeyes back to back.
I'm going Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame, safety.
Fred, what you got out there in Vegas?
I'm going to say that the pick will be probably Chris Olave, but I think that it probably should be Kyle Hamilton or Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah.
We didn't talk about that.
They're not going to let Terry McLaurin just walk away. As dissatisfied as he may be, he's going to get paid. You don't draft these guys and then just let them walk or force their way out of the contract. And their defense, especially their back seven, is what needs to be rebuilt. Their front four is, I won't say it's the best in the NFL, but it's certainly got to be in the conversation with Montez Sweat and Chase Young, right?
Thanks for that heads up there, Fred. It looks like we got a trade alert. The Commanders have traded the pick to the Saints. We don't know the details of the pick, but the Saints have moved up to the 11th, and the Saints were picking.
Which one did they trade? Because they had two picks.
The Saints' first pick was the 16th pick, so they've moved up potentially at least 5 spots.
Yeah.
The Saints had a couple picks here in the first round.
Let's see what.
So the Commanders have moved back. We're not quite sure on the details of the trade. However, the Saints are now on the clock, and looking at what the Saints might need, I once again I'm thinking they're going wide receiver as well. Do you think the Saints are going to go with Chris Olave?
Yeah, I mean they need a wide receiver. I think that'd be a good pick. Again, I mean. They could go anywhere. Like maybe they want like one of these defensive guys like Kyle Hamilton or Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State.
Well, the Saints had a good defense last year. They were 7th in total defense. They were 28th in offense.
Yeah.
Right now, Jameis Winston went down with an injury, and so they had quarterback issues. There's the possibility that the Saints could also go with a quarterback here.
That'd be interesting
to play behind Jameis Winston. Or at least go behind Jameis Winston.
So who's the quarterback, you think?
But I'm still thinking Saints going wide receiver as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that brings up a good point about quarterback. That would be interesting. Maybe you take Kenny Pickett or
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis, yeah.
All right, so the details of this trade here. The Saints traded the 16th pick a third rounder and a fourth rounder to the Washington Commanders.
Okay. Wow.
To get into the 11th slot. So, so the interesting aspect here is where they're going to go. They clearly thought that the Commanders and some teams above them were going to take their guy, and so they're going to get him.
First trade of the night.
So this is the first trade of the night.
Wow.
As you've said, Josh.
Yeah.
So we still got Fred on the line here. Fred, now that the Saints are on the clock, do you still think that they go wide receiver as well?
I think it's hard to tell. I think maybe they're getting worried that there is going to be that run on wide receivers. But there's other positions that they need to take care of too. Regardless of who they have at quarterback this year or next year or the year after that, they're going to need to have somebody protect them. And they just let Teron Armstead walk to the Dolphins. So I wonder if that mini run that we saw on offensive tackles has made them think that trading up to get Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa might be a good idea. And just as likely they could say, we like Kyle Hamilton, and he's going to be somebody. I don't think he gets past Minnesota if
Yeah.
I didn't think he would get past this position. I
pretty
thought
impressive,
that Washington would take him.
Well, interesting.
But
Interesting. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Fred, but interesting take there that you didn't think that Kyle Hamilton would go past the Vikings. They just jumped the Vikings. So Washington was one pick ahead of the Vikings, and the Saints moved up just past the Vikings. So if your hunch is right on the Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame, it's possible that they are going to go with him.
Yeah. No, I think that's a steal, really. That's a steal for them if they take him there. But
And I'm assuming the trade. I'm assuming the trade for the third rounder and fourth rounder is in this year's draft.
I think so. Yeah.
2022 draft.
I think that's what they mean when they put that there. But
so the Saints actually traded 3 picks. One of their first.
I'll give you, if I could jump in there.
Sure.
It's possible you might also see them take Jamison Williams. He was considered a top 10 selection before his ACL injury, and there's no reason to think he's not going to recover fully from that. So that's certainly a possibility too.
So Jamison Williams, you're saying?
So once again, that's a wide receiver situation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a possibility. Could they go with Trevor Penning?
Wow.
I feel that they've got a lot of holes on that roster. They spent a lot of capital and a lot of money trying to keep a championship caliber team around Drew Brees for the last few years. And now we've seen kind of where that led them to, which is a giant hole. I think they started the offseason with the most negative cap money. And it was something like $76 million.
Wow.
That they had to fix before they could even sign their draft picks. And that's not a great situation to be in. They've sort of gotten it under control. So we'll see, but they have a lot of holes, and personally I feel that this is such a deep draft that trading up for a wide receiver isn't the greatest idea. Because there's a lot of guys in the second and third rounds that you're going to see be very good players. They may not be Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
They may not be Pro Bowlers. They may not be all pros, but they're going to be solid contributors on their teams.
Well, as we sit here and wait for the pick to come in for the Saints, you're saying that they should not have traded up for wide receiver. I have read that as well, that the wide receiver class is deep.
I think that this pick, I think they need to go with a wide receiver. And I'm going to go with Chris Olave because with them, he spaces out the routes and he can definitely help them from the Saints. So,
well, here we go. The pick is in. We had talked about whether the Buckeyes were going to go back to back, and that would be the Jets and the Commanders. But nope, we're right on the back that they were going Buckeyes back to back, but this time with the Saints. So the Saints with the 11th selection, they traded up to get Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio State.
Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State. Olave may be the most refined route runner in this receiver class, exhibiting a high football IQ that allows him to recognize the coverage and create separation. When pressed at the line of scrimmage, his lateral quickness and fluid shoulders allow him to get a clean release, leaving the defender scrambling to get back into position. A big play waiting to happen, Olave should see NFL success right away.
Oh, Chris Olave goes to the Saints. Wide receiver out of Ohio State, back-to-back Buckeyes are out and about now. So they traded up to get Chris Olave. They must have thought he was going to go. So what do we got to say about Chris Olave? How does he fit into the Saints offense?
I would say, he's a great top speed, great route runner. He's very quick at the feet. He does a great job of tracking the ball over his shoulders. He's very productive, like how he was at Ohio State. So this was a great pickup for the Saints, I would say.
I mean, I like the pick. I mean, I love Chris Olave, being an Ohio State fan, but truly, why? I'm kind of with Fred of why pick a receiver here? Well, why trade up to take Chris Olave, which he might have been available at the 16th pick. But, you got teams in need of a receiver like the Eagles still there, right ahead of them. So they might have were trying to pick him as well. So they had him on their radar. So I guess they decided to do they decided to go up and trade for the pick.
Well, we got another trade.
Oh.
So the Minnesota Vikings have now traded back with the Lions, and now the Lions are on the clock here at the 12th pick. So we don't know the trade details here, but we do know the Lions are now picking and are on the clock now. So the Lions picked in the first round. They picked Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So they were terrible defensively. So could we see a linebacker go here in the with the 12th pick here? I don't know where Minnesota went, but the Lions are now 12th.
I would like to see the Lions get Kyle Hamilton. I think if they want to ramp up their defense, I believe that Kyle Hamilton can help them in a way.
Looks like Frank, you tackled our
Good old Archie Griffin.
bobblehead, buddy.
Kurt Ball's two-time Heisman
Frank
Trophy
is
winner.
taking
Down
him
and
out,
out,
man. All this draft talk
There
and
it is.
defense, man, you took him out.
Yeah.
There's
He
a
got
sack
a little
on the
too
end of the
excited.
table.
That's what happens when
Hell
you
of a
draft
play,
two
buddy.
Ohio State players at the time.
Loving it, man. I'm liking the hype. Kyle Hamilton, Frank said, and he imitated him by taking out the bobblehead. Rock on, Frank.
I mean, I think they might. There's a possibility they could maybe take a quarterback here too. Maybe
That's
they're getting
possible.
A
The
little
Lions
scared,
could take a quarterback.
They could take Kenny Pickett.
I'm shocked that there's not a quarterback here. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're a little freaked out.
They're freaked out. They got to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, Jared Goff is their quarterback right now, so he's shown what he's capable of with the Rams a couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, but he hasn't been that player ever since then. And so Detroit has a lot of holes.
Yeah.
They were terrible offensively. They were terrible defensively. They went defense with the second pick.
Yeah.
I do like the possibility that they go into the secondary and
Yeah.
get Kyle Hamilton.
That'd be good.
They need somebody to cover.
Yeah.
Right? But I wouldn't be against them if they went with a linebacker. Because they couldn't stop the rush either. I think they were 28th against the rush. So if they go linebacker, that means they've drafted two lines. They've drafted two lines of defense there, the front line and the defensive line, and then they would go linebacker.
I am just so surprised a quarterback hasn't been taken yet. I mean, get this. This is the first time since 2013, right, that a quarterback hasn't been picked in the top 10. The last quarterback that hadn't been picked on the top 10 was E.J. Manuel. We know how that turned out, didn't we?
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, Jordan Davis is still on the board. I think, it can help him out too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. You could put him on the defensive line with, with
Aiden Hutchinson.
With Aiden Hutchinson.
So you have a defensive end and an interior line.
Yeah,
if they decide to go there, that would definitely beef up that defensive line by for sure. So Fred, we got another trade here, buddy. It looks like the Lions are on the clock. So we're talking linebacker here and safety. Where do you think they go?
I think that what makes sense is Kyle Hamilton or Devin Lloyd, like you guys were talking about. They need to beef up that defense. But I will also say that it's entirely possible that when, if I'm not mistaken, a rookie leads you as a receiver, that tells you don't have a great receiving core. So maybe they're looking at one of the other wide receivers. We finally hit that limit where somebody said, no, we've got to jump up and get this guy. And if that happens, it wouldn't shock me, but I really feel that beefing up the defense would be the way to go.
Wow.
Gotcha. As we sit around and wait for the pick here, we're thinking defense here. But Fred, you've implied that maybe a wide receiver is in their offering. That kind of helped Jared Goff if they don't go quarterback. So we'll see what happens with this pick.
Well, it doesn't just. It doesn't just help Jared Goff, but also helps T.J. Hawkinson, who's coming into his fifth. They just picked up his fifth-year option the other day. He's somebody that we saw at the beginning of last year how good he could be, and then once defenses were able to key on him, once, and I'm blanking on his first name, but Cephas, the wide receiver from Georgia, once he went down for the season, you saw defenses able to key on him a lot more. The Lions were not a great team last year. You don't pick second and be a good team.
Right,
but they played very hard, and they took a lot of games right down to the wire. So I feel like Dan Campbell I won't say he's going to have this pick forced upon him if it is in fact a wide receiver, but I think he's probably banging the table for a defensive player.
Gotcha. Well, with that, we have a pick here. The Lions have traded up to select Jameson Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama.
Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Alabama. Transferring from Ohio State to Alabama for the 2021 season saw Williams go from afterthought to first-round lock. A smooth route runner who accelerates to top speed quickly, he keeps defensive backs guessing with his ability to sink his hips and snap off routes. In the rare instances he can't simply outrun coverage on a vertical route, his ability to leverage a defender with a quick cut creates all the separation he needs. He may not be ready for training camp after tearing his ACL in the national title game, but by all accounts he's ahead of schedule with his rehab.
So we're back here. Jameson Williams, the linebacker or the wide receiver out of Alabama, selected by the Lions. So we thought they would go defense here, but they went with the offense and wide receiver to get Jared Goff a weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. They need offense. I mean, I feel like they got the defense, but it would be great for the Lions to ramp up their offense with Jameson Williams. So that's a solid pick for them.
Yeah, and they believe in Jared Goff, and getting him a weapon like Jameson Williams, can't go wrong with that. He put up some numbers at Alabama this past season. So this is going to be good for him. I think it's a great situation for both sides.
Well, there you go. So we have yet another trade to report.
Another trade.
And the Texans have traded out of the 13th pick.
Jesus.
And the Eagles have traded up now.
Okay.
So we've had 3 straight trades
Fly,
where
Eagles,
teams
fly.
are moving up to take their guy. So we've had a run on some wide receivers here. And so with that, the Texans have moved back. They moved back to the 15th spot, and the Eagles have moved up to the 13th spot. So with that, the Eagles are on the clock. Where can they, we're looking at what they did last year. They were 14th in total offense. They were the number 1 rushing offense in the league, but only 25th in pass. They had a top 10 defense. They were 11th against the pass and 9th against the rush. So that all being said, where do we think the Eagles go? Defense or offense?
I think they will go. I would like for them to go offense. They do need a wide receiver. They also need a center too. I don't know if that'll help, but mainly for source, they definitely need a wide receiver.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the last 3 picks have been wide receivers. They might be going for one of these wide receivers still. I have a weird feeling about it. So depending on who that could be, you still got, you got George Pickens out of Georgia. Sky Moore, I mean, he's a lot smaller of a receiver, but they might pick him. And the only reason why I think they're going to probably maybe pick a receiver is because you got teams like the Chiefs and the Packers still in the back of the end of the first round who are looking for receivers. So maybe so they can get one of these receivers off the board. So,
but if you would go defense, definitely Kyle Hamilton's still on the board, or you got a cornerback in Trent McDuffie out of Washington. But either one of those picks would definitely be a good fit. But
Jordan Davis too.
Here's where I got. Here's what's interesting. So the Eagles moved up two places, right?
Yeah.
So they jumped Baltimore. So they must think that Baltimore was going to pick their guy. So, Baltimore, looking at what they might have needed, they were looking at a defensive end or a defensive lineman. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles went interior, and we saw Jordan Davis come off the board at Devontae Wyatt, an interior defensive lineman to shore up that defensive line.
Yeah.
Because the Ravens definitely need defense. They certainly need a corner.
A defensive end.
But they could also be in the defensive end. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, they traded up to jump the Ravens because they thought the Ravens would take this guy. So my guess is that they think whoever's coming up on the pick here, they thought the Ravens would go with him.
It's good prediction. I think you're exactly right there.
So as we sit here and wait for the pick for the Eagles to come, Fred, am I off base here? Got some good thinking there.
Off base. With regards to
the Eagles jumping the Ravens because they think the Ravens might have picked pick an interior defensive lineman.
I think that's entirely possible. I felt like somebody like Devontae Wyatt, the defensive tackle from Georgia, I feel like he would fit really well with the Ravens because he can at times play that nose guard, but he can also kick all the way out to be a 7 technique, which plays on the inside shoulder of the tight end. So he has flexibility there. Where Jordan Davis is going to be primarily 0 nose tackle. I feel like their defense needs, it's defensive needs. Yeah, they want a wide receiver, but after taking Devonta Smith last year, I feel like anybody they pick, they could later, they could have gotten in the 2nd or the 3rd round, something like that. So if I was guessing, I would say you're looking at the possibility of Kyle Hamilton, Trent McDuffie, which somebody mentioned just a little bit ago, and you could also possibly be looking at either Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean. But if I was guessing, I would probably say you're probably Devontae Wyatt, and let's face it, you can never be too good at stopping the run.
Gotcha.
As much as this has become a passing league in the last few years, people still run the ball. It's just part of the game.
Gotcha. Well, the pick here is in. The Eagles select Jordan Davis, defensive lineman out of Georgia.
Awesome.
So there you go. Fred, give me your take on that.
Oh, geez. I guess it kind of begins and ends with watching him at the combine. I hated it when I heard people say it, but the more I was like, I guess they're kind of right. It feels like it should be illegal for somebody that big and that tall to move that fast. It almost feels like the old Tecmo Bowl, Bo Jackson. Go ahead. How are you going to stop him? Go try. He's just an absolute beast. I was watching a replay today. It was Missouri versus Georgia, and they showed that when Jordan Davis was on the field, they were allowing a full yard less per attempt than when he's out of the game.
Wow,
So
gotcha.
he is a guy who comes in and he eats space, and he's going to demand 2 blockers on every play.
Well, that should free up some linebackers there for the Eagles. So with that,
yes,
we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will, unless there's a trade, we will discuss the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. You're watching the NFL Draft.
Can you see yourself working on TV,
Scoring
radio, or
Network.
social media? As media professionals, we make our voice heard. Call the Ohio Media School and be a part of something bigger than you and me. You'll train and get the skills you need to work in TV, radio, social media, film, and much more.
I graduated and now am working as a director of marketing at a local radio station. My future is set.
Call the Ohio Media School now and be a part of something bigger. 614-723-9675. 614-723-9675.
If you've ever dreamed of a career in the sports production industry, your dream could come true. The Ohio Media School is enrolling their next sports emphasis class soon. You'll learn about all the different aspects of what goes into the broadcast that you watch or listen to. Go from behind the scenes to the front of the camera. You'll also get hands-on opportunities to practice your skills through the Score On Air network. Call the Ohio Media School at 614-655-5250 or visit beonair.com/Columbus.
I met Mr. Porter from the Porter Foundation and our community dealings, just meeting people, good people in the community. He was telling me about a program that they were thinking about starting up, just getting kids involved, getting them off of the street, and just he knew there was a lot of kids in that 5th Avenue area over at Crum Park. I was a brand new recruiting sergeant, and I was looking for different programs to be involved in, helping kids, especially in like after school capacity, coaching, mentoring space. So I got hooked up with Mr. Porter, and I became a coach. I loved the kids that I had. It was actually my majority of my team was made up of one family, and they ended up being like really good listeners and team players. Some people struggled, but it was just really good opportunity to spend time with the youth over there in that community. And then actually, I didn't let them know I was a police officer right away, but over the time I ended up telling them, and a lot of people were shocked, but they all, I had already been there. I was told by one of the rec leaders that, hey, if you come back one time, they'll love you forever. Just seeing the progression of my kids, seeing them, share the ball with each other, learning different things, learning how to do a press, learning how to set a screen, making their shots. I love how they look back at me as the coach when they do something good, and I'm like, no, you did something good, keep doing it, and just building with them, just building that relationship. That's probably been the best thing for me. I'm from this community. I'm born and raised in Columbus, and this is a way for me to give back, and let people see a police officer, somebody who's actually, out here doing police things in a different light. You may see what you see on TV. It may be nationwide, different things going on, but at the same time, there are great police officers here in this city doing good works and building with the community. This is what we do. This is where we live. This is what we're good at. Service is number one for us in Columbus.
And we're back here on the Score On Air Network, the 2022 NFL Draft. And so before we announce the next pick, we want to just thank our NFL draft guru, Ohio Media's own Fred Wheeler, who's
Fred.
On site in Las Vegas for the draft. We appreciate all your insight. And we've been listening to your obviously recorded versions of some of these players. So we're going to let you go now. We appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of the draft. You're looking dapper out there, so now go put on your favorite team's T-shirt and be part of the peanut gallery. So thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, that's Fred Wheeler there, fans. So with the 14th selection, we got a pick here. Baltimore Ravens, Steelers' arch rival. They are going to select Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Kyle. Jeff, I think it's a good pick. It's the obvious pick. He was the best
All right,
guy off the board.
take care, Fred. Thanks. There, as we await some feedback there from Fred himself. The pick is in, and so let's hear what Fred has to say on Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame. He may be the best safety prospect in this draft and maybe the best of the last 10 years. Hamilton excels at all three levels of the defense, and his instincts are truly impressive. He sees the game a step ahead of all but the best players and uses his elite ball skills to change the game in his team's favor. Can play as either a strong or free safety and will be on the field in any situation or personnel grouping.
So Kyle Hamilton here goes to the Baltimore Ravens. It's surprising that Kyle Hamilton lasted this long into the draft. Part of me wanted him to slide down to number 20, but
good luck.
But he didn't get that far. Ravens were terrible against the pass last year, so hard to argue this selection for them.
Yeah, this was a great pickup for him. Definitely, from what I know, he did ran a 4.5 in the combine, and then ran 4.7 on his pro day. He had little weaknesses. I mean, like everybody has a weakness. He has concerns. He needs to do a better job of fighting through wide receiver, through blocks. But as far as his strength, he has a huge wingspan that'll help him change the directions in short areas. So this was a great pickup for him, for sure.
Yeah, he's quite the unicorn at the position. I'm really surprised he slipped all the way down to the Baltimore Ravens, and this is sad for us because I'm a Browns/Bengals fan. You're a Steelers fan. We get to see this guy twice a year, so this is going to be terrible. But he moves up front. You can move him up front as a linebacker. Use him as a linebacker, all the way back as a safety. So he's like a chess piece. You can move him all over the field.
Right.
So I really like this pick.
All right, there you go. So moving on, the Texans, who swap picks with the Eagles, are now on the clock with the 15th selection, and they've already made their pick. And the Eagles have selected Kenyon Green, guard out of Texas A&M.
Kenyon Green, offensive guard, Texas A&M. In his time at College Station, Green has shown what a versatile and dominant lineman he can be. He displays the type of natural strength you want in a guard on a regular basis in the run game, where he is a true tone setter for the line. His quickness as a pass protector is nothing to dismiss either, has strong hands that allow him to control a defender's movement, and is rarely caught out of position.
So the Texans went with Kenyon Green, guard, Texas A&M. They went with an interior lineman. The Texans were terrible offensively, terrible defensively. Certainly needed some line help. So how do you feel about this pick?
I mean, it protects their young quarterback, which is really going to help them. I'm really surprised. Did anyone pick Charles Cross yet? I don't think they did they?
I think he was picked.
Yeah, he was picked by Seattle. Okay. So, yeah, this is the fourth guy, so it makes sense that they picked this guy. So, good pick.
Yeah, I would say that's a good pick as well. I was kind of leaning towards Jermaine Johnson II, but Kenyon Green is definitely a great pickup for them. And, they need to protect the quarterbacks at all costs. So, it's a great pickup.
Good pick.
So there you go. So that's the 15th pick in the NFL draft. And with that, that is our last pick that we are going to cover tonight. I would like to thank everybody out there that's been watching us. Appreciate all the production and crew that has kept us up to date and kept us on task. Wasn't the smoothest at times, but we'll take the heat on that. But nonetheless, it was a fun night. We hope you enjoyed our coverage. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good night.